All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. You like it, huh? Welcome to today's Finance Committee meeting. Today is September 16th, and I will start with introductions to my left.
Brittany Norris for the administration.
Colleen Hamsey, Council Research.
Philip Peterson, Council Auditor's Office.
Kim Taylor, Council Auditor.
Ron Salem, Group 2 at Large.
Nick Howland, at Large, Group 3.
Raul Arias, District 11.
Joe Carlucci, District 5. Will Lane in District 3. Happy Squared Day.
Jacoby Pittman, District 10.
Kevin Carrico, District 4.
Councilman Reginald Gaffney Jr., District 8.
Thank you for that.
Just visiting.
Just visiting. Councilmember Lehman, can you repeat what you just said? Copy what?
Through the chair, to the finance chair, it's Squared Day. It's 9/16/25. It won't happen again for 100 years.
Okay.
So just recognizing
All right.
that.
Thank you for that. All right. Well, today we have a pretty full agenda today. We also we have a lot of people in the audience. I think I have public comment cards, but today, if not, then even that's fine too. We will not be addressing the millage or the budget today. Today it's just strictly agenda conversations. The millage and budget will be addressed next Tuesday at the council meeting. I do have a couple presentations today before we start our meeting, and then we'll go straight into the agenda. So I do have the groups from the Jacks Chamber and also the Black Chamber here today. I met earlier with the Asian Chamber as well. They're not going to be presenting today, but for now, let's have the Jacks Chamber come up and present, and everybody will have 5 minutes to present. And if we have any questions afterwards, feel free to ask. All right, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Andre Wallace, Jacks USA Partnership with the Jacks Chamber, 3 Independent Drive. Just picking up from the last conversation that we had, I'd be willing to handle any conversations that you want to bring forward, but if I could, no presentation, just want to put out some real facts here for you. The second hottest job market in the United States, according to the Wall Street Journal. Top 5 city for attracting college graduates, U.S. Census Bureau. Number 2 county with the most corporate facility deals along I-95 corridor, covering 15 states and the District of Columbia. That's how you rank, and we use your marketing dollars to do just that. And if you go to the Wall Street Journal, there's an article called "Jacksonville's AI Powered Ascent: A Blueprint for Steady Growth." That's all we use your money for, is marketing this great region, so people know that there's jobs here and they can find their career path here in this respective region. I'm going to shut it down. No more comments from me. I'll take your questions.
All right, thank you for that. I know you had a pretty in-depth presentation last time you were here, so I do have Mr. Salem on the queue. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Through the chair, Andre, thank you for coming. Do I recall from the discussion when you were here before that there are quarterly reports that will come to the Finance Committee meeting on the 750 spend? Or did we ask you to do that, or are you going to do that?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem. We provide quarterly reports to the Office of Economic Development per the contract. We've provided you all the quarterly reports this year. The final report would be due post-September 30th, which would be the fourth quarter report that recaps the entire year. So you have everything for fiscal year 22-23, fiscal year 23-24, and every report through third quarter of fiscal year 24-25. We provided all those to OED that can go directly to your council auditors.
Could you forward it to the Finance Committee meeting, to the Finance Committee members as well, or?
If I can, through the chair to Councilman Salem.
Sure.
I will take, with regards to anything that you want, I will get those quarterly reports and get them to Ms. Taylor and her team to distribute to whoever you deem appropriate.
That's fine. That's all I'm asking. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I do have Councilmember Lehman.
Thank you, Chair. My question is really more for the Chair and the committee. So I spoke in support of keeping it above the line. It's below the line right now in next year's budget. I guess what's the mechanism? Is now the right time to discuss moving it above the line? Or since the budget's already been moved as substituted, would this have to be something we take care of down the road at a future Finance Committee meeting?
Through the chair to Councilmember Lanin, the budget bill is not even on your agenda today since you tentatively approved it and it will be laid on the table. It would be a floor amendment next week if you wanted to bring that above the line.
Through the chair, thank you, Ms. Taylor.
All right, thank you. I don't have any other speakers on the queue. Thank you all for joining us today. Right now, as you already heard, it has to be a floor amendment. So I was going to talk about that later on, but the last day to submit your floor amendments will be this upcoming Monday by noon, I believe is the time frame. So put your floor amendments in by then if you guys want anything to be done. All right. Thank you. Thank you. No other questions. You're good. Thank you, guys. Okay, and now I do have the Black Chamber here to present as well, too. Ladies, please come up. And you have 5 minutes, and then we'll open up the floor for questions. Please state your name and address, please.
Greetings, my name is Kim May, Chief of Compliance. Personal address is 12055 Cobblewood Lane North. And I have my Vice Chair with me, Skylar McKnight, CEO Shannon Denson in the crowd, and also Chief of Relation Michelle Buckley. So we came here today to speak about potentially getting on the budget, I believe 40,000, and speak to you kind of what JBCC has been doing. We've been in existence since 2014, rebranding since the end of 2024 of December. We have accumulated 196 members as of today, and that's from December 1st until now. A total of at least 396, and they all spread everywhere from South Side, East Side, West Side, Orange Park, all around Jacksonville, and we even have additionally some that are in different cities and states like California, Texas, and also Atlanta. We want to speak to some of the things that we have been doing, was giving some of our members access to capital through some of our connections through Kiva Loan that we're a trustee, and also through our connections of SBA. Now, we also have expanding our training, and that's doing a business boot camp that will start in October, I believe the 19th, which SBA will be our first presenter, along with IRS and some other affiliates that we have as well. The Chamber is focused on a business ecosystem. So we want to see how we can do collaboration versus competition here with the board and help sustain some businesses, not just Black businesses.
And guys, yeah, we do have a presentation on the screens in case you want to see it.
And I apologize. We had only 12 handouts, and they were cut off, so we didn't want to give you anything that you could not read, but we do have the digital that can be disseminated towards you guys.
Thank you. All right. Do you want to add anything else to your...
No, just pretty much collaboration versus competition. You see what we have done with just the work that we have done with our small team with limited of funding, and we have been able to assist business owners like the Grand, who was working on getting a COU for over a year. Myself and the vice chair came along and had it done within 24 hours, right? We've given people access to capital that they did not know about, like Kiva, but as well also doing business intake. So when they come in, we're analyzing that business to see where they should be at, and even have gotten option right now to make it free for 3 months because a lot of our small businesses do not have capital of that nature.
All right, thank you for that. So the reason why they're here today is because one of the things that I noticed on the budget was, and this is a question to you all from me, is when was the last time that you received any dollars from the Jacksonville city, from the city of Jacksonville in general?
I honestly do not have that recollection. I just came on at the beginning of March, and I believe the CEO has only been here for 2 years, so I'm not aware.
Okay. Well, the point is, it's been many years. And I've always, obviously, when I first took on council as a Hispanic individual, I've always wanted to represent my community. But then when I saw that other communities were also not having the same leniency, I guess, I was like, well, we need to figure something out. And this is a prime example of what I'm talking about. We need to make sure that all communities are represented. And I know we have representation, but we need to treat them all the same way. And so I had a meeting today with the Asian Chamber this morning at the conference room. I had a meeting with the Black Chamber last week. Obviously, I have meetings with the Hispanic chambers all the time because I'm there all the time. And so my goal with this would be the fact right now all the chambers are below the line. What's going to happen is I've had a conversation with Ms. Stefopoulos on how their appropriations are going to be dealt with. Right now, it's considered under membership and dues. We need to figure out if that's really the right placeholder for that, or if it could be used for other things such as expos that you're going to put together, or whatever the case is, to do work in the community. So what I'm going to propose right now is we keep it below the line still, with the intent that we need to figure out how we're going to appropriate those dollars, because right now it's not really going to fall under membership and dues, more than likely, and then we move it up above the line. My goal would be right now is to fund them the same way that we would fund the Hispanic Chamber, the Asian Chamber, and the Black Chamber, evenly across the board. So if one gets $1, they all get $1. If one gets $40,000, they all should get $40,000. Right now, on what we have on the plate is $40,000 for the Hispanic Chamber, and then this will be the first year they get $40,000. But now we're missing the Asian Chamber. There's nothing for them. So I want to make sure that once we do this piece of legislation that I'll focus on, and I would love to have your support, it would be for all three to get even distribution of $40,000. Right now, there's $80,000 in the pipeline for that. We need to find another $40,000 to make them all whole. And Ms. Stefopoulos, you want to chime in on that part?
To the chair and through the chair to the committee. So yes, I understood from our meeting that your intention was to do this right after the first of the fiscal year. So you had intended going into the budget that those dollars would remain below the line as you indicated. And then through your legislation, once you identify how those funds would be best utilized by the various chamber organizations, you would be filing legislation to bring the dollars above the line. And if we need to allocate specific dollar amounts, change those, or find additional funding, you would work to find that additional funding, so that each of the three smaller chamber organizations could be funded in equal amounts, as you indicated.
Thank you for that. And that's exactly what it is. And so if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I have the queue right now, so Mr. Joe Carlucci, you're recognized.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. For just okay, so first question, and then I'll get into kind of some things that you said through the chair to the representatives here from the Black Chamber. What's y'all's total budget?
The total budget for is how much? Per the CEO, 180.
Okay, 180. Okay. So, thank you, appreciate that.
No
and then just to kind of what you said just a minute ago, Chair, and 40,000. I don't know how we picked that number, but I would be very cautious of saying just 40,000 for any chamber, because then you know what I mean. All of a sudden, we're going to get a lot of different groups that are forming a lot of different chambers, and then we've already kind of committed and gone down the road of 40,000. So I think perhaps it shouldn't be in membership, but maybe we should kind of come up with some type of, equal equation, so to speak. So maybe they don't all get 40. Maybe they get more or less. It should maybe be a percentage on the total budget. But that's a conversation, I guess, for later. But I just wanted to be careful about saying, you get 40, you get 40, you get 40, and then next year we get additional. So, but I do like having different groups come in, because I know that they serve a purpose. So I'm happy to support them. I just want to make sure we're doing it the right way. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you. Ms. Pittman.
The Chair, first of all, I want to say thank you for bringing that up and giving this organization an opportunity to get back in the fold. I remember when they first started years ago, they were very active in recruiting Black businesses and doing fundraisers. And just recently, I've met their members out in the community, and it appeared to me that one of the things that they wanted to do was to reorg and rebrand themselves. And I think given an opportunity, these young people who've been involved in this process have been dedicated to the cause. And my thing is, if they deserve $40 and that's what we come up with, I think we need to give it to them, because as you know, when you're a small and emerging organization, it takes money to make money. And giving them the foundation that they would need to get started and continued. I love to hear that you all have recruited that many members, because I remember years ago it fell down in terms of their members being actively involved, and before they had their own site, and to be able to have that again, and to care about the Black businesses or in the community. They need that support. So, if you come up with that number of $40,000, I like to see them, or whatever you're going to use to do it, whether it's based on the budget or the number of memberships or whatever. But I think, in this time, and y'all know the landscape, what's going on, a lot of the funding that they may have gotten in the past, they may not have it now. And that's for organizations like the Hispanic and the others in the chamber. I even like to say about the chamber, they've done massive work, the amount of money that they're getting. So I want, if you would, consider giving them an opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. I think what's going to happen is come the first of the fiscal year, I'm probably going to hold a public notice meeting so we could talk about that formula so we could have a fair representation across the board for all the chambers. The thing is, they are doing the work just like the other chambers. The reason why I even had a conversation with them was not even about the budget. It was about there's a small business opening up in my district, and they reached out to me so I could meet the business owner. So they're doing the work as it is right now. All right. Mr. Salem, go ahead. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Councilmember Carlucci stole much of my thunder. I want to be fair, but as you know, I'm Arab American. We don't have an Arab American chamber, but they could start one tomorrow and ask for $40,000. I don't think that's the intent here. So I think there needs to be their budget. I heard $180,000, so $40,000 is like 25% of their budget. I think factors such as that, how long they've been in service. Maybe there's some minimum 3 years before we would consider providing resources to them. What percent of it is it of their budget should be a consideration as well. So there are a number of factors that I think should go into that formula, so that I think each chamber should be treated differently depending upon those factors. So 40 across the board immediately got my attention, and I think that's how we need to look at it personally.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I said 40 across the board just because that's how it was written, but I completely agree. I think we need to treat this a little bit more meticulous with the direct numbers and all that. So yeah, I agree. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And so what's going to happen is moving forward is we've had the conversation. This is a first step. Once the budget gets approved next week, come the 1st of October, I'll be holding my public notice meetings. I'll invite you guys to come and attend so you can speak with the council members as well, more than likely in a smaller room with public comments. And then from there, we'll just kind of continue moving the ball forward. And then hopefully in the next month or two, we'll have some legislation in place so that you guys can get the funding that you all deserve, right? Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I also wanted to state that every councilman should have an email asking if they're available for the ribbon cutting on September 27th for JTB Beauty Supply. If you're not able to make it, that's totally okay. But we wanted to make sure that we're inclusive to everybody, even though it is your district, because all of Jacksonville is what you guys service. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. That completes our presentations. Public cards, do we have any at all or no? No. Okay. So we are moving on now to the the agenda. Just keep in mind that the budget and the millage are not on the agenda today. Okay. All right. So we are going to start with number 1. It's being 2024-0627 is deferred. Number 2, 2024-0966 is deferred. Number 3, 2025-0361 is deferred. Number 4, 2025-0424 is now being deferred. Okay, and then we are going to go to, before we go to number 5, I have, I'm going to take up Councilmember Gaffney's two, oh, so this is number 5. Yeah, this is one of them. So he has 2. So number 5 is going to be taken up first, and then number 20. All right, so 2025-0472, we have an amendment. We have a motion and a second on the rules amendment. Can you please elaborate?
Through the chair of the committee, the rules amendment will add a provision that NCI must be removed from the Chapter 118 noncompliance list by November 15th of this year in order to be eligible for this funding. It also revises the term of the agreement for this appropriation from October 1, 25 through September 30, 26. include a reversion of funds in case they do not get removed from the non-compliance list. The dollars would fall back to the general fund reserves, and then attach a revising Exhibit 2, which is the term sheet and budget to revise that term, and then also incorporate a few administrative recommendations from the Grants Division.
All right. Thank you for that. Mr. Gaffney, you're recognized. Only questions? Got it. All right. Mr. Peterson got it. All right. So all in favor of the rules amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. All right. Rules amendment passes. We have a motion and a second on the bill as amendment. No speakers in the queue. Let's go to the ballot. Record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
Okay. By your motion, 2025-0472 passes. Now we're going to flip to page 14, number 20. We have a second motion and a second on the bill. 2025-0642. We have a motion and a second on the bill. And number 20. So we're going to go straight to the ballot on this one. Mr. Gaffney, no speakers in the queue. Can you talk to us about this, please?
Yeah. Thank you, and through the chair, I appreciate you for recognizing me. Pretty much, this is pretty much funds to carry over to the next fiscal year. My fiscal year lapsed September 30th. I would like to carry over these funds to the next fiscal year, so it will expire September the 30th of 2027.
Okay. All right. Mr. Layden, you're recognized.
Hello? Okay, there we go. Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, I just wanted to put on the record here, I'm speaking to a bill I had. It was for the UNF Veterans Resource Center. Similar to this, it got held up in a state review process. I am not asking for an extension because we are going to have to modify the grant amounts anyway. So instead of doing two pieces of legislation, it's going to fall to the reserves, and then I'm going to have future legislation bring the $70,000 back up out of it. Ooh. So again, I'm doing that because I didn't want to have to do two separate pieces of legislation, but just putting it on the record now that the previously approved legislation for my strategic council initiative got delayed, and so you will see that coming back up. I think you guys know that me and Councilmember Salem have been two of the loudest about using the reserves, but I figured $70,000, it was better not to do two pieces of legislation for us and just go that route when it is ready to be refiled. Thank you. And of course, I'll support this.
Thank you. Council members, when you get on the queue and you speak, please speak on the bill. This is not your bill, sir. All right? All right, Mr. Howland, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, a question for Mr. Gaffney. The $125K, where and to whom was that originally intended to go?
Yep. So thank you through the chair to Mr. Councilman Howland. So originally this $125,000 it will be going to right now to affordable housing to build two affordable houses in my district. Right now I'm trying to get a nonprofit some time to get everything in order. Right now they have some compliance issues, so I'm hoping by the end of this year we should be able to build the two affordable houses in my district, and also it'll go to the CBA report as well.
Can you talk about who that nonprofit might be, or do you prefer?
Well, right now, so I don't want to speak too soon because if the nonprofit do not get off the list, if they do not come up to compliance, I might have to switch the legislation. So I'm trying to get this nonprofit time to get off the list so I could afford these funds.
Okay, I only ask because I think it's one that I'm kind of close to, and I checked with LISC on them because they're on the non-compliance list, and LISC said they still believe in them fully, and that it's still a great organization doing great things, and they hope it can move forward.
Yeah, so we're in conversation right now, so I should know in the next month or two, and I'll make a decision. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, just to let you all know that there's a whole bunch of these coming up today, so I just wanted you to speak on it, but just moving forward, we're just going to roll through them because there's like 10 more of these moving forward today. All right, so there is no amendment, so let's just open the ballot, record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0642 passes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. You owe me one. All right, what? All right, moving on to page 6, number 6. We are going now to, we have an amendment. So we have a motion and a second on the amendment.
Mr. Chair, I recall during the agenda meeting, we talked about you would probably need to take up 2025-514 first.
Sure. All right, so let's go to number 15, which will be on page 11. We have a motion and a second on the amendment, and yes, this is JTA's ones. Okay. So go ahead.
Yes, sir. Through the chair to the committee, these actions have been pulled from the sheet that you saw during the budget hearing on JTA. You just couldn't move them at that time. But going through these very quickly is affecting the operating budget as well as the capital budget. Under the operating budget, it's at the request of JTA to correct the below amounts. We are reducing all other miscellaneous expenditure line in the bus division by $80,000 and increasing fringe benefit by the same amount to correctly reflect uniform allowance. We are also increasing insurance expenditure line under the general fund division within JTA by $166,026 and reducing the contingency by the same amount, and then there will be offsets within the other divisions. And then under the capital budget, JTA has requested the following changes to their capital budget. We are decreasing total federal grants by $7.1 million from 31.5 to 24.4 to reflect the following amounts being removed from their budget after submission to the City Council. So $4.7 million for the Neighborhood Access and Equity Grant within the General Fund Division, removing funds of $2.2 million for the new ferry boat, $57,142 in the Skyway Division, and then $58,680 within the Bus Division. And we note below that that will be switched to a local match, so coming from JTA funds. Also increasing the total match for JTA by $422,453 to include $363,773 of additional local option gas tax revenue that they would like to appropriate, and then $58,680 that I just mentioned for switching from grant funding. And all of these changes will be reflected in the revised schedules within the budget ordinance.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second on the amendment. No speakers in the queue. All in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Amendment passes.
Move the bill as amended.
We have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Nobody in the queue? Go ahead and record your vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0514 passes. Now moving back to page 6. Number 6, 2025-0505. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Ms. Taylor.
Yes, sir. Through the chair to the committee, the amendments reflect on an adjustment on page 4, line 16, to update the net debt project funds to $559,123,935. We are adding language in the bill regarding the ordinance code sections 106, 309, and 312 that relate to your capital outlay projects not lapsed. You will also then attach those projects not lapsed schedules as Exhibit 2. And then within Exhibit 1, which is all of your schedule of capital improvements, you'll reflect all the actions consistent with the council's approval of the tentative budget for the city's CIP as well as for the independent agencies. We are correcting the fiscal year 25-26 JAA funding amount on a project line. It was just incorrect in this schedule, and then striking small capital because that is usually not included on this schedule. We are also including a revised JEA 5-year schedule to show the full amount for the Fulton Cut Power Line project, and then also reflecting all the actions that you just adopted in Bill 514 on JTA's budget.
All right, thank you. I do have a speaker, Mr. Howland, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Taylor, should I introduce my CIP amendment right now on this existing amendment, or should I wait till we vote on this amendment, then introduce it? Okay, roger that. Then I will not get in the way of this vote.
All right. So we do have the amendment. All in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Amendment passes. We have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Mr. Howland, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think everybody knows during the JAA budget hearing, I made the case for focusing investing on Cecil Field Aerospace Economic Development. I did 3 motions that we all unanimously approved. One was $500K out of their retained earnings into their professional services and consulting line to deliver us a plan on growing aerospace and related industry at Cecil before next budget year. The second was taking $10 million out of their retained earnings for an investment in a facility that could benefit FSCJ on airport to expand their workforce development training program for aviation maintenance and air traffic control. And the third was to move forward the fiscal year 27 capital investment in the Cecil Spaceport to current year. I would like to, because the auditors advised me I had to wait till this particular meeting on September 16th, to move forward all Cecil Airport and Cecil Spaceport capital funding in the JA 5-year CIP plan from years 3, 4, and 5, 1 year forward. Would that be the correct motion, Ms. Taylor?
Through the chair to the council vice president, yes, that's correct motion, and if you need any numbers, I'm happy to bring those up.
If you could just please go, well, I'll need a second, and then if you could please go through that. And I got a second for Mr.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Through the chair, it would move fiscal year 27-28 dollars of $17 million to fiscal year 26-27. It would move 28-29 dollars of $1.6 million to year 27-28. And then it would move fiscal year 29-30 dollars of $450,000 to fiscal year 28-29. And then 29-30 will not have any projects in that year since they've all been moved forward. And I do want to mention the reason this could not be taken up, the 5-year schedules for the independent authorities are not included in Bill 504. So that's why they could not be taken up until now. They're only included in Bill 505.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. And Mr. Chair, if you would mind, one final thing. You will see on the agenda, council agenda, I'm not sure it's on this one, it's on second read. It's a resolution for a J bill that hopefully my colleagues will support, and that will ask the Duval delegation to change the Jacksonville Aviation Authority charter to specifically enumerate the role their role in workforce and economic development at Cecil Field and aerospace and related industries. And that's something that I and the Duval delegation have been working on together. It goes along with these budgetary moves. Thank you.
Thank you. What was the line item for 27-28? Move forward to the 26-27.
To the chair, it was $17,100,000.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Salem, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Is anybody from the airport here? Could you address these recommendations? And also, through the chair to Ms. Taylor, does this still maintain a balanced budget for JAA with the moving up of these CIP dollars?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, yes, it does maintain a balanced budget. You are not impacting year 25-26. You already took action to do that for the current year. So nothing you do, it's just out years being brought forward to 26-27 from there. So no impact on budget.
Okay, I'd like to hear from JAA.
Mr. Ross, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to Councilman Salem, what can I answer for that specifically?
The recommendation, he's moved some of your CIP dollars up into different years. I'd be interested in your thoughts on that. Do you see any issues with this? I'd just like to get your feedback on this.
Well, through the chair to Councilman Salem, I think it's administrative. I mean, those projects are placeholders, and I was talking about that a little bit in our
remember,
meeting.
Sure.
They're not scoped out, they're not designed, the costs aren't really there yet. So moving them up a year doesn't really impact much. Okay. We may or may not get to them that year. It just depends on the project.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. I do have one more speaker. Ms. Pittman, you're recognized. Is it for Mr. Ross or?
I want to ask Councilman Holland, to the chair, to the Councilman Holland, have you had an opportunity to talk with the staff in depth since we had that conversation before and how they feel about that?
I've talked with many members of the community through the chair, Ms. Pittman, but the staff and I have not had a discussion about it. But I think we just heard the issue here. My goal is to accelerate investment at Cecil Field. This action does that. So do the actions that took place during the budget hearing. So we will encourage the airport to spend that money aggressively that they've already identified as placeholders for future investment in Cecil, and spend it earlier. And I'll work with them to do so. Part of the budget hearing investment was putting $500K out of retained earnings into professional services for them to create a specific plan on just how to jumpstart Cecil Field aggressively and move forward some of the investment.
And I guess if you don't mind, hearing that explanation right now, how do you feel in terms of, I know you just said just move it up and you think you might not be ready, but being that he is putting it in legislation, how do you feel that as a board you all would be able to get that done?
Well, through the chair, Councilman Pittman, I have similar comments to what I made in our meeting that, we're not going to get to anything that's moved up a year. These projects just aren't ready.
Okay.
I think our board will take a position on what the Finance Committee's recommendations were and also make comments on the J bill itself.
Mm-hmm.
But, administratively, it's not that big a deal to move something up a year. It's just not, that's not really how we don't necessarily absolutely follow the 5-year CIP. That's kind of placeholders for what we want to do. When we get closer to it, we'll scope out, design the project, know what the cost is, and put it in the current year's budget. I mean, changing that is a little bit, we'll do it. It's just, it's an administrative thing. It's not really something that we're going to act on.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your explanation. Thank you.
All right. No other speakers on the queue. So we do have a motion and a second on the Howland amendment. All indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. All right. Amendment passes. Excuse me? Yep. So we're going to roll them up. So we're going to move the bill as amended, rolled up. And so no other speakers on the queue. So with that, we're going to go to the ballot. Record your vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
All right. By your motion, 2025-0505 passes. All right. Moving on to number 7, 2025-0506. We have a motion and a second on the amendment.
Through the chair to the committee, this is just a technical amendment to clarify in Exhibit 2 the amount as $22 million for the low-income pool that's part of the $56 million that gets sent to draw down dollars from the state.
Okay. No other speakers on the queue right now. So we have a motion on the amendment. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The amendment passes. We have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. All right. No speakers in the queue. Please record your vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
All right. By your motion, 2025-0506 passes. Yes, Mr. Salem, you recognize.
Is there a conflict on UF Health why this is separated, or can you just tell me why?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, not that I'm aware of, it's just part of the budget. It's tied in with the appropriation of $56 million. This is then an agreement that allows for dollars to be sent to the state to draw down additional dollars. So if that amount changes, it will impact what we need to change in this bill as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Going on to number 8, 2025-0507. We have an amendment. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson or Ms. Taylor.
Yes, sir. Through the chair to the committee, we just need to update the cost of the programs for the 5 years, including the current year. It's in excess of $50 million. That's an amount in that ordinance. Then page 2, line 26, we need to update the net principal amount for the debt of projects to $3,078,257, and then attach the revised 5-year IT project schedule, and as well as Exhibit 2, which goes into the detail on each of the projects for the year 25-26 to reflect all of the actions that you took during the budget hearings.
All right, thank you. No speakers in the queue. All in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. 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 All opposed say nay. Amendment passes. We have a motion and second on the bills amended. Please open the ballot, record your vote. Did you vote?
7 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0507 passes. I'd like to recognize Council Member Ken Amaro. Thank you for joining us. All right, number 9, 2025-0508. We have a motion and a second on the bill. All right. No speakers in the queue. Let's go to the ballot, record your vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0508 passes. Going on to number 10, 2025-0509. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. I was going to get to that one. All right. I think somebody needs to abstain. All right, thank you.
To the chair, thank you so much. I will be abstaining from this bill because the Clara White Mission has applied for funding for kitchen support, and it does not affect me. But I wanted to let you all know that I will be abstaining from this bill. Thanks.
Thank you. So we do have a motion and a second on the amendment. Ms. Taylor, please.
Yes, sir. Through the chair to the committee, the amendment is just to attach revised Exhibit 2, which is your schedule of the public service grants, to include in the most vulnerable persons in needs category the item called micro grant program. It does have a 0% allocation, but this will make it consistent with the ordinance you adopted 2025-225 on all of the categories.
Okay. No speakers in the queue. I just have a question. So are they still going to be a zero line item? So yes, that's the answer, right?
Through the chair, yes, it'll show 0%, but it will at least show that category.
Why do we even have that category if it's consistently zero?
Through the chair, it was approved by City Council, so we're just trying to make it consistent with the ordinance in here. I'd have to defer probably to Councilmember Freeman. I know he's been heavily involved with that.
Okay. When was this category created, and was it ever funded?
To the chair. So this category was created, I believe, in 2022 through an action of the council, and it was separately funded through legislation that, as Ms. Taylor indicated, Councilmember Freeman was heavily involved in bringing forward. I believe there's been some discussion about the administration of that category, and there might need to be a shift in how it's administered. So there was that was part of the discussion on why it was a 0% allocation this year, and that was what was proposed coming from the Grants and Contract Compliance Division and the Public Service Grant Council. But Ms. Taylor is correct in that it is a category that was established by the council, so it would be appropriate to still reflect that it exists, but with a 0% allocation.
Okay. I would like to call up Ms. Maribel Hernandez, if you don't mind. Just please state your name and address and talk to me about this category as to why it consistently doesn't get funded, and do you guys have you had conversations with the administration to figure out a way to fund it moving forward? If not, then are we going to just remove this category? Otherwise, we're just giving people false hopes, is what it is.
Maribel Figueroa. I recently got married.
Oh,
so Figueroa.
All right.
And y'all can pronounce that, because if you can say Stephanopoulos, you can say Figueroa.
Figueroa. All right.
Figueroa.
Right.
Grants and Contract Compliance. Yes, Mr. Chair, this is a category that Councilman Freeman led about 2 or 3 years ago and added on there. And for about 2 years, the past 2 years, he had secured separate funding of about $200,000 each. Those years, he determined how those funds would be spent. There was a micro grant program in the beginning, if you recall, that we had a lot of lessons learned from those. As you recall, you all recently approved a waiver to get them off the non-compliance list, as there were some disparities in terms of how the RFP was worded, et cetera. The last year, there was a $200,000 secured again by Councilman Freeman. That most recently, you all approved legislation to assign that to technology, to help some technology firms. This year, the recommendation did come from the PSG Council, actually, who had submitted this as a fourth category. They developed a formal program for microgrants that is basically sitting on the shelf until and if it receives funding. So this year, it was submitted, but it was using the same in terms of the model and what Councilman Freeman started. It just formalized the program on paper, but there is no funding. We're certainly very hopeful that perhaps in the future this will be something that would be funded. It was the PSG Council did submit a request for funding for this category. It did not make it into the budget, and they certainly were not surprised by that because of obviously a lot of other things that the administration and this body have had to basically decide in terms of what we would fund. So there is a formal program. It's on the shelf. It's ready to go. And if an opportunity for funding opens up in the future, we want to be able to have that category available to fund it then.
All right. Well, I do have two speakers in the queue. Just hold on, just in case.
Sure.
Mr. Lane, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And I was the liaison last year to the Public Service Grants Council. Just to reiterate what Ms. Taylor said, this portion, the microgrants, was invented by Council, and I think it's always been funded by Council as well. So I don't know if there's going to be pending legislation. I think 200 has been what it's been the past couple of years. There's also a cap on this. I believe it's $20,000 is the max that any grant can be, whereas the rest of the PSG grants, the lowest they go is $25,000. So again, Councilmember Freeman was the champion of this. So I'd recommend through the chair to Ms. Figueroa, congratulations. Circle back with Councilmember Freeman just to see if he does intend, because I think 2 years in a row now he has had the legislation for the microgrant funding program, and it's come from Council. So I encourage you just to reach out to him to see if he does plan on funding that line item, because without Council funding, it is at the $0.
All right, thank you. Mr. Salem, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I'm trying to understand this. You said your board submitted a request to the administration and it was not funded. Can you clarify that for me? Is that correct?
The PSG Council, through the chair to Councilman Salem, the PSG Council did submit their funding requests, which included $7.8 million for PSG categories A through C, which is what is before you in this legislation, and they submitted for a fourth category. I believe it was $500,000 for the micro grant program, and that was submitted, but it did not get funded through the budget process.
So 7.8 plus 5 was submitted, and you got 7.2 and 0.
7.8 for the funding request for the PSG grants is on there. The fourth category remains, the 7.8 million is for PSG grants, which is the legislation that is before you today. And then the fourth category did not get funded through the budget process, but we are in communication with Councilman Freeman, and he has actually reviewed the program that the PSG Council came up with.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm losing you somewhere. You were funded at 7.2.
Through the chair to Councilman Salem last year, the
No,
previous budget year.
you were funded
I'm
at
sorry.
7.2
Wait,
this
I'm looking
year.
at the wrong number. I'm sorry. Pardon me. Through the chair to Councilman Salem.
Let me start over again,
Yes.
because you said you submitted 7.8 and plus 5 for the mini grants, and you got 7.2 and 0. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. I
Okay.
apologize for the error in the number.
Okay, I'm looking at my colleagues here. What is stopping us from taking that 7.2 and making it 7,200,000? Is there anything? Well, if the mini grants, I'm looking at the auditors. I mean, is that a budget amendment, or can we do that today? Is there an appetite for that? I mean, if this was a council-induced program by, I think it was when Councilmember Freeman was president, if I recall correctly, that he started this. Ms. Taylor?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, you could do that. I just want to point out that Ordinance 2025-225 that Council approved did put the percentage at 0%.
Okay.
So you would be, in essence, going against that ordinance, but you can certainly do that at this time.
Is there an appetite for that? I'd like to hear from one of my other colleagues, or should we rely on Councilmember Freeman to carry the ball? I'm interested in your comments.
All right, thank you, Mr. Salem. So yeah, I definitely, I know I have an appetite for that. My question would be to Ms. Figueroa. 7.8 is what you requested. You got 7.2, but you called that for the PSG, and then you said the fourth category, microgrants. Is the microgrants not part of the PSG process? Why are you separating it? It is part of the PSG, right?
Mr. Chair, historically, for the past 2 or 3 years, the fourth category has been a zero-based category.
I get it, but it is still PSG, is it not?
It has been operating as a separate microgrant program, even though on paper it is called PSG Microgrant Program.
Okay.
It has not been operating as part of the PSG budget. And if Councilman Freeman were here, he would let you know that he had made a commitment to the PSG Council that the funding for the microgrant program would not be pulled from the PSG grants.
Okay. All right. I think the problem is that we're treating this separately than the PSG. This is literally the PSG. You're talking about 3 categories, A through C, and then you said you also put in for a $500,000 request for a microgrant category, but that microgrant category is also PSG. So it really should be A through D, all of them combined into one. Very quick, Ms. Taylor, how much was appropriated last year for categories A through C from the PSG? Right now, this year is 7.2. How much was it last year?
Through the chair, it was the same amount, 7.2 million.
Got it. All right, Ms. Figueroa, go ahead.
And, Mr. Chair, the fourth category does not follow 118 Part 8, which is where categories A through C operate. Historically, for the past 2 cycles, the microgrant has been treated completely separate. The first year, it went through a 126 process with the microgrants, with the 8 agencies that received the funding. Last year, there was no program per se, so Councilman Freeman moved that money to technology for them to use for a microgrant program that they're doing with technology companies. I don't know much about it because I was not involved in that. And then this would be the 3rd year that this would appear as a fourth category, but it does not follow, it has not followed the PSG grant process, which actually is underway and scoring ends today on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, my last comment before I go back to the queue is that, this will be the 3rd year, like you stated, that somebody, we're obviously looking at Councilmember Freeman to carry this weight, but I don't think it should be put on us. If you already requested it through the administration, like they should put it in. Otherwise, we're constantly every year having to come back and do the same thing. And Councilmember Freeman is going to be here for another 2 years. What's going to happen when he leaves, right? So I think moving forward, there has to be a commitment from the administration to fund this category. Otherwise, we're literally just doing, like I said in the beginning, false hopes, and then one of us has to carry the weight. I definitely have an appetite to second your motion, but we do have a queue open up. So I will, for conversations, I will second your motion, Mr. Salem. 200,000 from shifting from 7.2 to 7 million, and then 200,000 for the micro grants category. Mr. Joe Carlucci, you're recognized.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think, perfectly honest, this would have been a great conversation like during budget hearings, but I guess we're here, and really, I guess my question is, whether it's a micro grant or a public service grant or a whatever grant, through the chair to Ms. Figueroa, what's the difference? Like, what does a micro grant do that a PSG grant can't do?
Through the chair to Councilman Carlucci, the PSG grant has morphed through the last few years. The first 2 cycles, it has been Councilman Freeman's program. It has been Councilman Freeman's funded initiative. This 3rd year, the PSG Council, recognizing through their work that there is a need to help these small nonprofits that do not have the sophisticated means of being able to compete for a PSG grant. There's a lot of, as you know, a lot of strings tied to that. And so this 3rd year, which is what I can speak to on behalf of the PSG Council, they actually developed, using the model that Councilman Freeman started, they developed an actual program, and it is actually modeled with lessons learned after the Safety and Crime Reduction Program, where the grants would be up to $20,000. They would have to be in business for 1 year instead of 3 years for PSG, and there's a lot less stringent requirements than there are for PSG. It's a way, including training, it's a way to help these small nonprofits to be able to compete in the future and help prepare them without the amount, the PSG grants are not built for small nonprofits.
I don't want to belabor it, but it sounds like micro grants are easier to get than the PSG grants.
Yes.
And there's a cap of 20,000 on the micro grants?
That would be the maximum according to the program that the
Okay.
PSG Council
Okay.
came
And
up with.
through the chair, what's the max on the PSGs now? Is it 50?
125.
Okay.
125.
Okay. 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 I mean, it's just tough. I mean, I see the need for it. Yeah, micro grants are probably filling an amazing need out there because they're easier to get and they're for those smaller organizations that aren't as robust maybe as some of the other ones are. So it's just one of those things, right, where we're taking away the $200,000 from the big pot to give to the little pot. So open to hearing the rest of the conversation, but I really wish Councilman Freeman was here for some of this conversation, but that's all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
may I add something to what
You may.
Councilman Carlucci said? Recognizing that, we were okay with it not being funded at this time because of the fact that we currently don't have the resources to support a large microgrant program, so we have to balance that as well. Councilman Salem made a comment yesterday about, and I agree with you 1,000%, he made it several times, that a $5,000 grant takes just as much, if not more, resources to manage than a bigger grant. The reason it could possibly take more is because these are small agencies that don't know how the city's requirements work. It's not very easy. And secondly, they don't have the sophisticated resources and systems to be able to provide proper receipts. So that's usually the big problem we have with them, that they'll provide a check made out to cash and say, there's my receipt. We can't accept that. So in many instances, it does actually take more time. And so resources would be an issue, even if we had the $200,000 funding. Currently, grants does not have the resources to support it at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, before I go back to the speakers here in the queue, Mr. Fabulous, I know that we have a pending amendment on the floor before we take up Salem's amendment, but anything else to add?
To the chair, so the Salem amendment would, in my view, supplant the technical amendment because the technical amendment that was originally moved was addressing the revised schedule, which is the Exhibit 2, to include the microgrant category with a 0% allocation, but the Salem proposed amendment that was seconded would supplant that because you are now talking about allocating dollars to that line item. So to me, I would consider that an amendment to the amendment. And so you would just take it up as proposed and moved and seconded by Dr. Salem.
All right, good point. All right, should we take that up now, or can I still go through the speakers on the queue? What do you recommend?
To the chair, if you still have speakers in the queue that are wanting to speak germane to the amendment that's on the floor, which is the Salem amendment, then I would say take that up.
Okay, all right, we'll do that now then. Mr. Lane, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And to the committee, so I'm going to be a no on the amendment. I prefer that we approve it as is for a couple of reasons. It took me a few minutes to find it, but back in March, we approved 2025-191, and that changed the 118 ordinance. And so if you recall, previously there was a $150,000 cap, and if you're a large nonprofit and had two separate programs, you could apply and win two grants within the same category. Now you can only win one grant per category, and it's at $125,000. So this coming year, there is going to be a shift in what the PSG is doing it and who's going to be the recipients of this. Second of all, if we take $200,000 and lower it from 7.2 to 7 million, we're actually lowering the overall PSG bucket. And y'all have heard my comments on nonprofits, and I've also said the PSG is the most regimented and thorough vehicle we have to ensure that we are getting the money in the hands of the right nonprofits that can do the most and best work. And the $200,000 last year, it ended up not even going to, I forget how many, but very few, if at all, microgrants were actually given out. It ended up being substituted and using for something else. So my concern is if we go from 7.2 to 7.0, it is lowering the overall PSG budget with no 100% clear plans on how that $200,000 would be used within the microgrant program. And something Ms. Figueroa just said about the cost of maintaining all these microgrants, I think that's going to come up in some bills later on in the meeting as well about the cost of managing these very small grants. So again, I'll be no on the amendment, and my desire would be that we approve it as is. And if Councilmember Freeman wants to come back and champion the program he started to get incremental for the microgrants program, then I'd consider supporting that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lane. And I'll just chime in very quick on that statement. I think it was me that talked about the PSG process and how people were double dipping, and not just in one category, but also getting multiple categories. It was just ridiculous, and I think we brought it home. But I did also say that we still need to address the PSG process entirely. It's broken, right? There's a lot of people are really making a lot of money off of this, and I know a lot of people are doing great work, but there's still a lot of organizations, particularly the smaller ones are the ones I care the most about, that are trying to get in this process, but they are just getting completely blocked out because people are double dipping and triple dipping in multiple categories. So the reason why I do support the micro grants category is because of this very reason. This actually supports these smaller organizations, the ones I care the most about. So the other point is that if we do leave it on the budget, 7.2, Mr. Freeman, I'm pretty sure will come back at some point this year to allocate $200,000. From where? Now we have to get money from somewhere else. We already have money specifically for this purpose. We might as well use it for this purpose. That's the way I see it. If maybe in the year we need more money for the PSG for whatever reason, we could come back and address it at that point. But I think that the money for PSG, even though Category 4 is not PSG, it really is PSG, it should come from the same pot, is my opinion. And the last point I will have here is that at the end of the day, what I said earlier about Mr. Freeman, it shouldn't be on us to constantly fund this program. It should be on the administration to put money in it. The category exists. And my last point to that category, just like on the budget, we struck out any line item in the budget that had a $1 figure to it. This has a 0% figure to it. So why is this even in the budget if that's the case? Shouldn't this also apply to that methodology that we had earlier in the budget process? Whereas anything less than $1 or $2, it should be completely removed?
To the chair, this is actually just on the schedule within this separate ordinance. So within the budget, there's one pot of $7.2 million for all the public service grant dollars.
Okay, makes sense. Cool. Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Just to respond to one thing you said, when I say it's the most thorough process, I'm speaking completely relative to direct contracts, right? So the PSG has a process. They have a scoring matrix. They dig into the 990s. They look at financials, audit financials, depending on your size. There is a thorough review of the applications that are submitted within the public service grant. I'm speaking relative to the millions and millions of dollars of then direct contracts we see with nonprofits that do not get the same level of scrutiny.
Thank you, sir. All right, I'm going to skip the line, and I'm going to go straight to the president. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You might regret that because I'm on the cue to disagree with you a little bit. Public service grant, I think they do a good job, and I think the big organizations that you say are double dipping, they're doing multiple programs, they have multiple arms, multiple departments, so they're applying across different sectors and different things so they can support the overall community as a whole. Now, being that I work for a large nonprofit, I know how this works. I know there's a target on your back sometimes when you're doing a lot. But the large nonprofits are organized better. They can fundraise better. They can match those funds. They can get state, federal. They can do more with those grants. So I also support small nonprofits and micro grants. I think it's a good mix that we have. I don't think we need to blow it up. But I do support moving 200 and just putting that in the micro grant process as it is. And I think PSG is doing a good job at serving the community, and that's just my opinion. I thought I'd throw it out there.
All right, thank you, sir. For the first time up, Mr. Joe Carlucci, still on the amendment. That's why. Are you in the amendment? All right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So through the chair to the auditors, basically, would we just change it from 0% to 3%? We wouldn't have to change the 7.2? Is that the percentage tying back to that number?
Through the chair to Councilmember Carlucci, it's about 2.7%, and I'm glad you brought up the point. We did want to get clarification on the amendment that we would pro rata pull from each of the categories. So, for example, acute has 35%, so we would reduce that by $70,000, 35% of the $200,000. Prevention and diversion is at 30%. We would reduce that by $60,000, and then self-sufficiency and stability is 35%. So we would reduce that by $70,000 as well, so that it's all pro rata reduction if you do proceed with it.
That's why I went with 3%, but we could just do 1% for each category. Just a suggestion. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is that an amendment to the amendment to the amendment? No. All right. All right. Now I will recognize Mr. Salem. Go ahead.
Am I bringing this home or there's more after
We
me?
do have Ms. Norris and Ms. Taylor, but I think you're bringing it home from the council members.
Okay. I heard all the discussion, but let me add one other point, the reason I want to do this now. Once we finish the budget, Councilmember Freeman is going to try to find some money to put 200 grand in here, and he may go into the reserves, or there'll be some lump of money that falls into our laps that I think this committee has said we are not going to start that process anymore of grabbing money that falls to us at the end of the quarter and those types of things like has been done in the past. So by doing this now, we prevent one more case of someone trying to find some money that is falling to us to fund something that we would have difficulty not funding. So I think it's important we do this today, get it done. Hopefully the administration is hearing us that this category needs to be treated appropriately in future budgets, and we can move on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Norris.
Thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, I can make no promises for future budgets going forward. We do have a limited amount of revenue and therefore have to make hard decisions. But I do want to speak to Councilmember Lanon's point about that past legislation. I think one thing that needs to be considered as well in regards to capacity is that by lowering the amount that we give out on the larger PSG grants, that increases that number. And so as we have to manage all of these grants, we're foreseeing, I don't know if you can speak to it, how many more grants might go out now with that lower amount, so we have more money to go around. So just a heads up, capacity is truly an issue with trying to expand the net of people who can participate with past actions.
Ms. Maribel.
Yes, through the chair, to the committee, we are anticipating that we will have more grants. We had 55 PSG grants approved last cycle. We anticipate probably about 20 more than that because of the amount being lowered, which was the intended effect. Unfortunately, we had less applicants than we did. I think there was an expectation that there would be more applicants this year. We did not, and we actually had about 13 applicants from last year that did not apply again. So we are doing a survey due to Councilwoman Pittman's legislation change where we're required to do that, but we're going to do a survey to find out why. So we'll have some answers for you then. But we are anticipating a bigger workload in terms of PSG grants. Certainly adding the micro grants to that is something that at this point we cannot absorb, but we'll have to work with the administration and figure out how to do that and how to be able to move forward with those.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make it very clear that this is not the first year we're doing this. Like you stated, it's already been 2 years of it being funded. This will be the third year, so there's nothing new on this part. It's still the same amount, $200,000 going to the microgrants department. So you guys are already seasoned in how to manage these $200,000. So there's really nothing new going on this year than the last 2 years on that part. All right. So,
Mr. Chair,
and we got to bring it back home now. All right. So, Mr. Carlucci, bring it back home so we can finish this up.
Yeah, I'll bring it back home with a simple statement, and that is, look, if we want this to be in the budget, you just change the percentage. It's at 0%, right? Can we just change it to 1%, and it goes in the budget. So it's really kind of that simple. We're getting confused because we're talking about a flat dollar amount, but really it's a percentage, so we're backing into it. But if it wasn't 0%, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. So perhaps that's legislation that we can make an amendment to the 0%. So for what it's worth.
Ms. Figueroa, 30 seconds. All right.
To Councilman Carlucci's point is that through separate legislation, the council did approve the categories with the respective percentages. So I will defer to Council Auditor's Office in terms of or an OGC, how that would impact this, whether that would have to be now revised. MVP categories were approved earlier this year.
Through the chair to the committee, it's a suggestion, and so council can change that at this point. But next year, when you take up these vulnerable, the populations and the categories, I would advise that you consider those. And I do believe it comes as a recommendation from the Public Service Grant Council. So they are starting at a 0%, and then council can change that from there.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. No other speakers on the queue. So we have a motion on the floor for an amendment to the amendment. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. All right, the amendment passes. You want a hand vote? Is that what it is?
No, Mr. Chair, then it would just be proper to move the amendment as amended and vote.
All right, we have a motion and a second to move the amendment as amended. Let's hand vote. All right, let's go for hand vote. All in favor, raise your hand. All right, all opposed, raise your hand. All right, motion passes. We have one exception, was Ms. Pittman. Yep.
And move the bills amended.
We have a motion to move the bill as amended and a second, and let's go to the ballot. Record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0509 passes. Thank you, Ms. Figueroa. All right. Figueroa. All right. Figueroa. All right, just making sure. All right. Not Figueroa, it's Figueroa. All right. All right, moving on to number 11, 2025-0510.
Move the bill.
We have motion and second on the bill. We do have a abstention. Yep. And Ms. Pittman, you're recognized.
To the chair, this one and the next one as well. Clara White Mission will apply for those funds upcoming year, and as an abundance of caution, I will not be voting on this. Thank you.
Thank you. No other speakers on the queue. Open up the ballot. Record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention.
All right. By your motion, 2025-0510 passes. Moving on to number 12, 2025-0511.
Move the substitute.
We have a motion and second on the substitute. Ms. Pittman, you're recognized.
And, our staff with the White Harvest Farm do field trips, and as an abundance of caution, I will not be voting on this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Taylor, please.
Yes, sir. Through the chair to the committee, as substituted, the bill will increase the appropriation by $2,840,000. That includes all the Journey Forward funding of $1.9 million for your direct contracts that got moved into KHA, as well as general fund non-departmental funding of $940,000 to increase subsidies and contributions to private organizations, as well as professional services for the NLP Logix contract that were in the designated contingencies, and also it includes walk-off charities funding. You'll note those below in number 3. Number 2 is just correcting the account information in the explanation of appropriation. Bullet number 3 will include approval and authorization language within the bill to execute the direct contracts listed there, which do tie to the $2,840,000 increase in the appropriation authority. Bullet number 4, revising the section 77.111A within KHA's ordinance code language to waive the language to include direct contracts, since that requires competitive procurement. Bullet 5 is attaching all of the direct contract term sheets as new exhibits, which we do have all of those that we've worked with KHA and the organization, so those have all been finalized. Attaching a revised Exhibit 1, which is your BT, to reflect the total updated appropriation amount. Attaching a revised Exhibit 2, which is the schedule that reflects all of the funding, including grant funding that KHA receives, and we need to update the appropriation amount, correct the amount shown for the operation dollars and program dollars, correct the continuation grant schedule, and then Scrivener errors that we have as well.
Okay. I don't have any speakers in the queue, so we have a motion and second on substitute. Just vote. Okay. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Substitute passes. We need a motion on the bill.
Move the bill as substitute.
We have motion and second to move the bill as substituted. This is a ballot vote. Let's go to the ballot. Before I vote, is this the last KHA action item here today? Yep.
With respect to their budget, yes. You have some legislation that's going to be before you later on in the agenda that's for direct contracts that would be administered through Kids Hope Alliance, but this is the only budget FY25-26 budget-related item for kitchen.
Okay, well, then I definitely want to speak on this. So can we hold off on the vote for a second, please? We have people from KHA here, and I just want to know, I know last year that we had to fund additional dollars for the summer programming for the after-school care and all that for students. Was that already allocated in the budget this year, or are we still in the same position as last year? I have Ms. Arlen.
Hi, Sarah Lynn Grass, Kids Hope Alliance. I think you're talking about the 686 that we had in the spring last year. That is not included in this budget. However, I have spoken with the administration, and we're going to look at that this spring and come up with a new number, and they are willing to help us put it back in the budget.
Okay. So then you don't need it in the budget right now. You'll just get it later at some point. We'll figure out with the administration at some point. So
Yes.
you guys are good to go on that part.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so thank you for that. We're going to go now to record our vote, if that's the case. Mr. Howland, you want to? After vote, speak after the vote. Okay, so let's go to the vote, the ballot, and record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention.
All right, by your motion, 2025-05-11 passes. Mr. Howland, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to commend my colleagues for their generosity with this unanimous vote. What has been so often called a heartless finance committee just passed significant amounts for all sorts of worthy causes across our city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. I do have just one more point to talk about the KHA process. So obviously, you know, the conversation we just had was for the spring programming. Are there, and I should have asked this earlier, but Ms. Saralinick, if you don't mind coming up here again one more time, please. Was there anything else that was omitted from the budget that was originally in the budget last year, or at least added after the budget last year, that was also not funded this year in this year's budget, aside from just spring programming?
No, there was not. No.
No. Okay. All right, cool. All right, well, then I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so now we are moving on to number 13, 2025-05-12.
Move the bill.
We have a motion and a second on the bill. And no other speaker. We do have Mr. Joe Carlucci.
All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yep, I have to abstain from this bill. My insurance agency has a policy with James Weldon Johnson Park, and I've been advised by the Office of General Counsel and Ethics to abstain from this vote out of abundance of caution. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So no other speakers in the queue. Let's go to the ballot and record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention.
All right, by your motion, 2025-05-12 passes. And I apologize. I'd like to recognize Ms. Clark Murray. Thank you for coming here today. Appreciate it. All right, number 14, 2025-05-13, Mr. Joe Carlucci, you're recognized.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yep, I'll be abstaining from this one as well, as I have a family member that is a council member, and I'm not allowed to vote on his salary. So paperwork will be filed.
All right. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Ms. Taylor.
Through the chair to the committee, the amendment is just to reflect removing postage funding for postage being removed during the budget hearing process. So this is just to sync up the action you have taken on the budget.
Okay. No other speakers in the queue. I do have Ms. Pittman on the queue. Yep, go ahead.
I wanted to ask a question. I know we talked about this during the budget to make sure that we have enough funds. I know 3 or 4 of us have larger districts that we need postage for. And so I just wanted to make sure that there's a line item budget within the categories that if we need to send something out or have something printed to be sent out, that we will have funding to get that done. I don't know if this is the right place, Ms. Taylor, if you can answer that question for me.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Through the chair to Councilwoman Pittman, there are dollars within the City Council's budget for the use of the copy center. So for getting something printed or bound or things like that. However, through your action during the budget hearings, you did remove The specific amount of $50,000 that was $1,000 per district council member, and then a pot of $36,000. That entire amount was moved from postage to professional services so that it could be utilized there. So the specific line in allocating that postage has been removed as the budget sits today.
Okay, but we do have funding if we want to send something out. I just want to make sure that postage will probably be one of those things.
Through the chair to Councilwoman Pittman, I can't guarantee that there would be sufficient funding. There's a normal amount of printing and things like that.
Okay.
But I would need Mr. Teal or Ms. Eichner to comment on whether there were an extraordinary use of, postage items that you need to send out to your constituents.
Yes.
Likely that would not be specifically funded to be able to do with moving these dollars to professional services now.
I wish someone would come because I'm going to need that in the upcoming year. So unless we can find it or make a commitment somewhere else in the line item, maybe under marketing going out, I really need that.
Okay, so I think that this conversation will be for Ms. Eichner if she's listening. Obviously, there's an appetite for that need. The reason why we moved this was because the money was hardly ever touched.
Right.
So we felt compelled to say, okay, well, right now these days, electronic mailing like MailChimp and Constant Contact and websites and all that is more critical than just postage. However, it is a line item for $50,000, and I think we may have added more at the end of the budget. I'm not sure if we did or not, but nevertheless, whether it's 50 or 100,000, I think it's at 100,000 now.
Mm-hmm.
We will have to talk to Ms. Eichner to see if maybe she will leave some money aside for postage because there will be a need for that too. Maybe, but not all 100,000, right? So,
no.
To Ms. Taylor's point, we don't know. Like, what if you need $60,000 worth of postage? We can't commit to that, but I know Ms. Eichner will definitely put something in her line item for professional services.
I just want to make sure I get a commitment because I got 4 districts into one. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Joe Carlucci, recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to add some clarity, because I know we had this conversation when it came up, and I think that's from what I remember, that was a very specific thing that Ms. Pittman said, and I believe it's an allowable use in the new category it's in. That was my understanding when I left the meeting. So, but yeah, I just wanted to add that clarity and confidence.
Thank you. I'm glad you remembered.
Yeah, Ms. Pittman, just don't be using off $50,000 for postage, right? So, all right. We are now on number 14, right? So we are taking that action on the amendment. Yep. So nobody in the queue. All in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The amendment passes.
Move the bills.
We have a motion and a second on the bill as amendment. Mr. Carlucci, remember you're abstaining. All right. Let's go to the ballot recorded vote. Yep. I know.
5 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0513 passes. Moving on to number 15. We have already taken a, yep. So moving on to number 16, this one is being deferred. So 2025-0539 is deferred. Moving on to number 17, 2025-0601 is deferred. Number 18, 2025-0640. We have a motion and a second on the bill. Ms. Taylor, is there anything you need to add to this? There's no amendment, so just take a motion on it. All right. I do have Mr. Salem on the queue. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to commend the auditors. If you recall, the administration gave us a budget where they were borrowing the $39 million to complete the related project, which turned my stomach, frankly, because that's, to my knowledge, that's never been done where an economic development project payment such as that was being done with borrowed money. They identified this source of $36 million from the garbage fee, and we combined that with some other dollars from the solid waste disposal fund to pull all this together, and now we will be able to complete that project with cash versus borrowing it, and without their help, we would be facing some difficult decisions, and just wanted to recognize them for that.
Thank you for that statement. Yeah, the objective when we started the Finance Committee meetings were to not add to debt or take on debt, to not take out from the reserves, and to hopefully pass a reduction in millage. So those are the three action items that we wanted to take, and this was a big component of that, so thank you for that. All right, so we are going to take a ballot vote on this. Let's open up the ballot.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0640 passes. Moving on to number 19, 2025-0641. Mr. Lenin, this is your bill you can speak on. All right. We got a motion and a second on the bill.
Thank you, Finance Chair, for the opportunity to speak on my bill here. Make it real quick, because a lot of you heard this yesterday, neighborhoods. If you recall, back in August, we approved 2025-463 that Councilmember Miller introduced. This was to establish the Veterans and Military Family Community Center Trust Fund. We've had multiple noticed meetings. I know Councilmember Howland, myself, Councilmember Miller, a few others, where we've been talking about some of the veterans infrastructure initiatives. If you recall, we renamed what was originally money just for the shade structure in the CIP. We renamed it as Veterans Infrastructure Initiatives. This bill, 2025-0641, it takes money from a District 3 CIP project that finished about $600,000 under budget. And I have been talking about this for quite a few months now. At those notice meetings, we want to wait until the Miller bill got approved, and then this will be the first significant amount of money that's going into that trust fund so we can start some of the design and preliminary engineering on a building that has been tentatively identified. It's in the Cathedral District. It'll have connectivity to both the water as well as the Emerald Trail. And would just appreciate your support on transferring this. And again, it's cash left over from a project that ran under going into this trust fund.
Okay. All right, Mr. Peluso, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to be co-sponsored on this bill.
All right, thank you for that. Mr. Lane, what traffic light was this on San Pablo?
Through the chair, it was there were two of them actually. There was one I think at San Yepez, and then kind of at the corner where Old San Pablo meets New San Pablo. They started before we took office, but then they finished roughly about a year ago, I believe. So it's those two new ones.
Awesome. All right. Well, no other speakers on the queue. Let's open up the ballot and record a vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0641 passes. All right. Moving on to, we already took number 20, so moving on to number 21, 2025-0643. We have a motion and a second on the bill. No speakers on the queue. And let's open up the ballot, record a vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0643 passes. Moving on to number 22, 2025-0645.
Move the neighborhoods amendment.
We have a motion and a second on the neighborhoods amendment. Ms. Taylor.
Through the chair to the committee, the neighborhoods amendment reduces the appropriation to $31,227 and then attaches a revised BT to reflect that reduced appropriation.
All right. I do not have any speakers on the queue. Let's go for a vote on the amendment. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Amendment passes. We have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. And let's know, I do have Mr. Salem on the queue now. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. This is the third time I'll be voting on this bill. The Mayor's Council on Fitness and Well-Being has not met since COVID for 5 years. Councilman Johnson is, and he could speak to this, is trying to restart this group. I don't believe there's enough meat on this bone to appropriate these dollars. I would encourage him to put forward some legislation to carry his contingency dollars to the next year versus doing this. I was a no vote in neighborhoods. I was a no vote in rules, and I'll be a no vote today. And that's where I stand. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lane, and you're recognized.
Through the chair to the auditors, just so I understand the finances here, this is already appropriated council strategic initiative money from the council member for District 14, correct? This is simply changing the originally proposed source to it?
Through the chair to Councilmember Lane, and that's correct. So Councilmember Johnson identified two entities that he wanted to appropriate those council strategic initiative dollars to back in, was that February or March of 2024? And through numerous things that have happened, he's decided to repurpose those dollars for this purpose.
Through the chair, thank you, Mr. Peterson.
Okay, all right, well, that answers my question then. So just to reiterate one more time, these were his strategic priority dollars. They're not coming from the general fund from any other source, right?
Through the chair to Councilmember Arias, that's correct.
And then last question would be, if this gets approved, this funding, it's a one-time use. It doesn't have to like continuously be, it's not an operational funding is my point. It's just a one-time injection and that's it, right?
Through the chair to Councilmember, or to the chair, that's correct.
All right. I have a question for Mr. Johnson. You're actually in the queue now. Let's say this funding gets approved and we get this consultant on board. What is the goal of this funding for? Like, what's the goal of the consultant in general?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. I think Mr. Peterson has something he needs to put on the record before I answer that question.
All right, Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair, a consultant is not going to be hired. This is going to be operational dollars for the staff under the Fitness Council.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
Okay, I have the floor. I just wanted to say that because you say that all the time. And I'm not going to, there was a wonderful quote, Mr. Chair, that I heard. I can't take no from somebody who doesn't have the authority to tell me yes. And I'll tell you why this is important. Last week, and Mr. Peterson, I thought you would speak more to this. Unfortunately, the legislation that was entered said consultant, and we went back through all of the emails that I sent. In no way, shape, or form did I say anything about a consultant. So it was a mistake that was made. I'll apologize since that hasn't been picked up. I did not put it in there in those emails. Back and forth to everyone show that. Nevertheless, each of you, I should have been given the legislative services earlier, but there was a report. Council President Carrico appointed me to the Mayor's Council on Fitness and Wellbeing and asked me to serve as a liaison, as others have done, like Councilman Freeman before. When I got to the council, instead of me looking and saying, well, it's not my job, I looked at it. I went back and pulled the executive orders of Mayors Hazuri, Mayors Curry, Mayors Brown, looked at what they wanted from this council and how it could be more effective for the Jacksonville community. I then took several weeks of research, at least a week or so of research, and then compiling all the data and completed a strategic plan as to how to move it forward. My plan may or may not be used in its entirety, but it was a way to get the council started, and we know we have issues with health in our community, so this helps it move forward. To answer the specific question, yes, these were strategic initiative dollars. There was one organization that had a large pot of money that I was going to put like we all have done, the strategic initiative dollars. That organization was on the non-compliant list and remained on the non-compliant list. So while the auditor's office and general counsel worked with them, we were up against a time constraint, and that's why I saw there were some remaining funds, and I could put them for this one-time purpose toward the board. You will also see, and to answer your question, they are to augment the activities of the board, meaning once we get everybody established, I've reached out to the main healthcare providers in this community, athletic folk like the Jaguars and Choose Fitness and other places, to get them on board. They've all agreed they want to come on board, and we will even have a few retired Legends players that will come on board because they want to see our community healthier. This is just, though, to augment those services that the board could provide. And what I did was, out of separate legislation, I asked for an amendment to be put in. If you'll see, the initial number was $51,000. Because there was some reduction on the Hispanic board this year, I agreed to say we can do $30,000 toward the 527, I think it was, 227. There'd be $31,000 that would go to this board, and then the $20,000 would go to the Hispanic board. But again, these were all approved funds that came from the strategic initiatives, and I try to make sure two things. One, that when I'm using those strategic initiative funds, that they go through the initiative, through the strategic priorities of the council, and two, that I try to stick with what I said in the beginning. So the only reason why this changed is because that first organization was on non-compliant list.
Okay. Just before I go to Mr. Holland, quick question to Mr. Johnson would be, if this passes, what's going to happen next year? I mean, is this going to be a budgetary item? Is this staff? I know you said it's operational, so it's not for staff then, right? Just okay, got it. Thank you. For the record, just say it very quick, please.
This is a one-time allocation, and it will be not used. It's not going to be used for staff.
Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Holland, you're recognized.
Actually, that was the first part of my question, Mr. Chair. The second one, specifically, what will it be used for? Like, what activities, if not for staff?
I'm not sure if you have it or not. I know I submitted it earlier. If you look in that packet, One of the things that I had asked was screenings in certain areas, whether they be colon cancer or prostate cancer or other screenings. Some of those things take additional resources to get people there, as well as there's also a piece in there, I think it's under number 5, that talks about additional communication. So amplifying the communication of the board, what they do, here's when they'll be at these places, not just a social media post, but ensuring that we're using whatever resources that we have to hopefully create a healthier community. So while all the specific details, Councilman Howland, have not been outlined, what I wanted to make sure was that this board, because it had, as Dr. Salem said earlier, been defunct for a while, have some resources to do the work that it was charged to do.
Thank you. And if I still have it, sounds like these are more health initiatives, kind of like Jack's Care Connect or health, telehealth, or some of the primary services that we're doing, or indigent care, the Medicaid, Medicare line. No.
Those are two different things. Through the chair, council member, those are two different things. When I reached out to UF Health and Florida Blue and the JAGS and other organizations, it was not just about, because it says health and well-being, so that includes fitness as well as screenings. Am I making sense?
No, I understand. For Mr. Peterson, if Councilman Johnson didn't use this 31277, it would fall to the reserves at the end of September 30th, end of the fiscal year.
Through the chair to Councilmember Howland, that's correct.
And it's kind of too early to put in kind of a bill, or I mean, too late rather for Councilman Johnson to put in a bill to carry this over to 2026. He could add it as an addendum, only because it's really interesting, and I'm just hesitant, given the budget hearings, to just continue to support another initiative that's for mental health and well-being. I think it'd be way more effective for you just to give that money to telehealth or any other of the organizations that we've done using your strategic initiatives. I haven't made up my mind whether to vote no or yes, but I'm wondering, if we could promise to support Dr. Johnson on a emergency on the addendum to carry this money over and think about another place to put it so he doesn't lose it, or promise to him that we can pull 31227 out of reserves next year for him, for his purpose, to give him time to think about it or make sure. I heard yesterday some of the comments from my colleagues that they didn't feel like this was fully cooked enough to vote on it. I mean, are there any other, Dr. Johnson, any other things you would do? Last question for you.
I mean, well, we live in a city of more than 1 million people. Of course, there's a lot of things that we would do. I wanted to get this group back activated and have them with some resources to support that activation. Here's what I'll say. I will say, Councilman, as much as with all due respect, through the chair, this is interesting to me because many of the strategic initiatives that my colleagues put in that required much more resources did not get this much scrutiny. And while I appreciate the scrutiny and will certainly speak to it, when I came on this council, I was advised these are strategic initiatives, and if you find something that fit in these spaces that may not get the eyeballs that are usually on them, put them in. Let's work through them. And so I certainly did that, and I thought this was a requisite place for it to be.
No, and if I can, Mr. Arias, I agree with you, Dr. Johnson, and it's your strategic money to do with what you will. It just kind of feels like it's hurried last minute in a council that hasn't been up and running, and we had to work it through, and there was an error in writing it. Not your fault, but I'm still undecided. I'm going to lean on supporting it to be consistent with every other stance I've taken on anyone's strategic initiative, supporting it if it's reasonable. I was just coming up trying to see what other options might exist. If you think this is where you want to put it on this last minute decision where it didn't work in 2 other places, I'll support you on it. If you think that there would be an opportunity to either extend it to next year or give it somewhere else, I'd support you on that too. So I'll support you on this if you think this is right.
Okay.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to the auditing department, if it's dropped, there's no dropping below the line. It would just go back into the reserves at this point, because that's what I was advised. I just want to make sure if we don't expend these funds by September 30, it would go into the reserves, which would then take a 2/3 majority to bring out. Correct?
Through the chair to Councilmember Johnson, that's correct. If they are not allocated for a purpose or carried over in their current place, they will fall to reserves.
Can I, through the chair, can I carry it over in still the strategic priorities that were referred to District 14?
Through the chair to Councilmember Johnson, you could. I believe that would need to be handled in a different piece of legislation as an in and out emergency Tuesday night.
Okay. And I want to thank Mr. Chair through to Vice President Howland. Thank you for the suggestion. I'm certainly open to it. I just didn't want, because the organization, it wasn't my fault, I kept trying, but because they were on the non-compliant list, that caused the issue. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go to Mr. Fabulis first, and then I'll chime in, and then we have other council members. Go ahead, Mr. Fabulis.
Thank you. Through the chair to the committee, so going back to a question that Councilmember Howland had originally raised, the way the legislation is drafted is that the dollars are being set aside for the council to retain a consultant to assist in the development of a strategic plan. That concept is not what Councilmember Johnson's intent was. Both neighborhoods and the Rules Committee declined to amend the bill to reflect that consultant language come out. So as it stands, the bill that's before you, that's been moved for consideration, says that the funds are being set aside so that the council can retain a consultant to develop a strategic plan. None of the other items that are addressed in the memo from Dr. Johnson are included in the legislation as far as authorized expenditures for the dollars. So I just wanted to make it clear to the committee, even after traveling through the other two committees, that's how it is before you today.
Okay. All right. So I do have three speakers, but I'm going to go first. I hear where my colleagues are coming from on this one, but I'm going to have to disagree with them. I think we all have strategic priorities. We all use our dollars however we see fit. Nobody has, as Mr. Johnson said, even given us an issue with it until this point. And I think this is a great source of funding for this, because at the end of the day, this is for the Mayor's Council of Fitness and Wellbeing. And this memo that Mr. Johnson has pointed out, like literally detailed line by line, is very... It is baked, to hear that it's not a fully baked process. I mean, I see so many bullet points here that they clearly have a line of a vision of what they want to go. The one that I really care the most about is the targeted programming. It's talking about Senior Wellness Month, Youth Fitness Camp, and corporate wellness partnerships. So we have 16 senior services centers in the city of Jacksonville. And by having this fitness and well-being program, established and well-running with funding, they could at least now partner up with our 16 senior community centers, which is a big deal for us. I know we've had a lot of conversations on seniors as a whole during the whole budget process. So that's just a small component of it. I will definitely be supporting this, because at the end of the day, it is Mr. Johnson's money, first of all. Let him do what he sees fit. As long as it doesn't bind us and put us in a box where now next year we have to completely fund it again, I'm okay with that. Let's put it to work, and let's see how this money works for our city. So I'll be in support of this. Ms. Pittman, you're recognized.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Dr. Johnson, for reactivating this committee, because I think it's well overdue. And, COVID was here, 5-6 years ago? And to be able to have this committee come back and address some of the issues, and maybe even have some activities here. I know that some of the staff has also mentioned they would love to have a health and wellness program where, maybe on their lunch break that they could attend, some of the initiatives that are on this sheet right here. I mean, I know that some of the council members and aides, they have been doing a pilot program the last few months, which makes, staff more productive. And having it on staff or on site here makes it easy. So I like what has been presented here, and I think we all should support it. I stand here to also support it, because there are other members, not just on the Finance Committee, that have come up with initiatives, and it's much more than this. And again, these are dollars that need to be encumbered by something else, and I think this is a good start. I think, I'm a senior now, so I might be able to use some of these services. Thank you.
16 centers, right? There's 16, so. All right, last point to Mr. Johnson from my point. I'm sorry, Mr. Carlucci. All right. More reason why I want to support this is because we got big news last week about the Ironman coming to Jacksonville, which is a huge deal for not just Jacksonville, but like the entire world. I mean, this is a tourism hub right here. They're going to inject so much money and just synergy and exposure to our city. So definitely want to have this in line before the Ironman comes to Jacksonville. And I don't know about you council members, but I'll be participating in that. So hopefully one of you guys could join me. But definitely more reason why to support this. All right, Mr. Carlucci, go ahead.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I did the Ironman last year, so hopefully your time will be better than mine. But anyways, this kidding. That was definitely a joke. Yeah, everyone out there was like, "Oh wow, cool. We didn't know that about you." No, I mean, look, I'll keep it real short and sweet. I mean, Councilmember Johnson, look, this is your first page. I'm done reading it. This is personal to you. I know that you will do this well, and you will do this with, the utmost dedication. And I've seen these Rockman Johnson handouts before, and I've been on the other end of them, and I've been with them, and I know that they're super detailed and they're very thorough. And for me, it just comes back to you did the work, you switched the funding source, it's all good, and I think it just kind of started going through the ringer, so it kind of had that attached to it a little bit. But man, good on you, good job doing this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lane, and you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And through the Chair, Dr. Johnson, I mean, I did go back and I looked at Council President Carrico's memorandum on standing committees, and you were named the liaison to the Mayor's Council on Fitness and Wellbeing, so it clearly exists somehow. And again, we have to make sure we do give discretion that once... Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's listed right there. But I do want to give discretion to the council members that once we have the money appropriated, he clearly was involved in this committee and thinks it's the best use. We've all had to pivot, I feel like, through the years that, hey, we want to do something. It falls through. I just talked about how my UNF thing at the beginning of the meeting, sorry, I'm getting off the bill, but things don't always work out as originally planned when you go to appropriate. So I'll be supporting this.
Thank you. All right, I'm in a conundrum right now. I have Council President Carrico versus Council Vice President Howland. Which one should I pick first?
Well, the president can go if he'd like. I'm going to introduce an amendment and make sure that Dr. Johnson's good with it, but I could go after Mr. Carrico.
Let's go with Mr. President Carrico. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I saw in the bill that it would fail neighborhoods, and I think the reason has been cleared up. Sorry, I was in the green room, but just for my own edification, the funds are not just leftover funds. They're reappropriated from something that fell through and they're being reappropriated, right? Okay. So I did put you on that committee because you're dedicated to your fitness, so I would like to see areas and Dr. Johnson maybe compete in some kind of way if we do get this as... Okay. But I did put you in that position because I knew you'd be passionate about it, and that's what you do when you're in a position as a liaison or in charge of a special committee or something. You dig in and dive in and find a way to make it shine. So I want to commend you for that, and I'll be supporting this. Thanks for clearing up all the confusion on the funding source. So I'm ready to move forward.
Thank you. And just to clear one thing up, there is no competition. I'll let you guys figure that out. All right, Mr. Holland, go ahead.
Dr. Johnson, I'm convinced. But we do need to clean up the amendment, I believe, because... or clean up the bill, because right now, as amended, it includes that services of a consultant. So let me propose a motion, make sure you're okay with it, and then get a second. My motion would be to amend the amendment to strike, or amend the bill to strike the funding use for consulting services and redirect funding to support the activities of the council, including but not limited to developing a strategic plan, public awareness campaigns. Do we have a second?
And a second, yep.
All right, and Mr. Fablis, you okay with that amendment as proposed?
I wrote it, yes.
I wrote the first half, you wrote the second. How about that? It's the Stafapa land amendment.
So will this be a finance amendment, Ms. Fablis, or are we going to roll up both the neighborhood and the finance amendment together?
So, Mr. Chair, if this amendment is approved, then I would ask to roll it up, and then that would be filed as the finance amendment.
Sure. All right. So all in favor of Howland amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. All right, amendment passes, and now we are going to
Move the amendment as amended.
we have a motion.
Did we already take the other amendment up?
Yes, there was already a motion and a vote on the other amendment, so if we can roll those up, then you would just need to move the bill as amended.
Okay, so we're going to do all in favor of indicate by saying aye to roll up the amendments. So we're rolling it up then, if that's the case. All right, finance and neighborhood amendment as a finance amendment. And now we have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Let's go to ballot recorded vote.
Six yeas, one nay.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0645 passes. All right, moving on to number 23, 2025-0646. We have a motion and a second on the bill. All right, I have no speakers on the queue, and we're going to go to ballot recorded vote.
Next year, the party change.
Yeah.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0646 passes. Moving on to number 24, 2025-0647.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Ms. Taylor.
Through the chair to the committee, the amendment corrects the total appropriation amount to $326,591, while also correcting the grant award amount to $262,082, and then attaching revised BT to correct appropriation language.
Okay, all right. No speakers on the queue. So all in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. All right, amendment passes.
Move the bill as amended.
We have motion and a second on the bill's amendment. Open ballot, recorded vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0647 passes. Just one quick question, 1 second. All right, guys, I'm going to pass the gavel over to Mr. Howland. I'll be right back. And
Mr. Chair, before you leave, do you not want to move to item number 25, 2025-0648? You wanted me to skip?
yes, sir, you could go skip, and Ms. Stefopoulos will.
Okay, let's move to bill item number 39.
And this will be.
Which is on page 17. And I'll entertain a motion for an emergency. This is 2025-0680. We have a motion and a second on the emergency. Mr. Peterson, care to explain?
Through the chair, or to the vice chair, to the committee, the reason for the emergency, as is for this bill and many others on your agenda, is the funding will lapse on 9/30. So that's the reason you see these as an emergency. This is the last committee cycle to get appropriated.
All right, seeing no one in the queue, we'll vote verbally on this emergency. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All against say no. The emergency passes. I understand that Mr. Amaro may have an amendment? No? Okay. All right. There is no amendment, so we'll entertain a motion as an emergency. We have a motion and a second to move the bill as an emergency. Seeing no speakers in the queue, let's open the ballot and record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, 2025-0680 passes. I believe we can go back to where we were on the agenda, which would be item number 25, 2025-0648. We have an amendment. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair, the amendment just corrects the fiscal year the dollars are being appropriated in.
All right. We have Chief Clement here if anyone has any questions for him, and we have no speakers in the queue. Well, my eyes, I think. Chief Clement, are you there? Wave your hand. Okay, I can see you. See, my eyes are so bad, I don't see past the first row without my glasses. All right, seeing no speakers in the queue, we have a motion on and a second on the bill as amended. Oh, we're on the amendment right now. Okay, sorry, let's take a verbal vote on the amendment. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All against say no. The amendment passes. We have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Seeing no speakers in the queue, again, I'll offer Mr. Clement for anyone who wants to speak to him. Seeing none, let's open the ballot and record your vote.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, 2025-0648 passes. We move next to item number 26. We have a motion and a second on the bill. Mr. Clement is here. Seeing no speakers in the queue, let's open the ballot and record your vote. Yep. To announce it.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
And by your vote, 2025-0649 passes. We'll move next to item number 27, which is 2025-0650. We have a motion and a second on the bill. Seeing no speakers in the queue, let's open the ballot and record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
And by your vote, 2025-0650 passes. We'll move next to item number 19. Sorry, page number 19, item number 28, 2025-0651. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the Vice Chair to the committee, the amendment will recognize JSO be the oversight department for the Homeward Bound agreement. It'll attach the newly approved affidavit for nonprofits to receive direct contracts as a new exhibit to the bill, correct various scriveners, and then attach a revised exhibit 2, which is the certification from JSO that the funding is available.
All right, we have one speaker on the queue. That's Dr. Salem.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to highlight the $140,000 going to the Homeward Bound program. Very successful program. I think in July we were able to move 99 homeless people to their hometown, and I think this program is a big reason for the success of our the way downtown looks in terms of our homeless population. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Salem. I will turn the gavel back over to the chair. Mr. Chair, we are on item number 28, which is 2025-0651. The amendment is on the table. We have no speakers in the queue. Over to you, sir.
All right, no speakers in the queue. All in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Amendment passes. Let's open up the ballot, record your vote. Oh, let's move the bill's amendment, sorry. All right, open up the ballot, record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0651 passes. Moving on to number 29, 2025-0653.
Move the bill.
We have a motion and a second on the bill. Yep. We have a motion and a second on the bill. All right. No speakers in the queue. Open up your ballot. Record the vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
All right. By your motion, 2025-0653 passes. Going on to number 30, 2025-0654. We have a motion and a second on the bill. All right. You heard that, Mr. Populous, this time? Yeah, I got it. All right. I do have Ms. Clark Murray. You're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. This was discussed through the chair to the committee. This was discussed in neighborhoods, and just if there aren't any additional questions in regards to perhaps the funding or the funding source, the fund balance, or the return on investment. Oh, Councilmember Lanin is not here. Okay, so the ROI on this particular bill. Just if there are any more questions, Chair.
Okay. I don't see any speakers in the queue, but this is very similar to Mr. White's bill that he had maybe a month ago, where any landfills, you have a specific target area, and in this case, it has to be used for public use for city-owned property. In this case, this is one of the parks in your district. You've already met with Mr. Joseph. Everything looks good to go, so I don't see any issues with this at all. There are no speakers in the queue. Thank you for this work. All right.
Will has something to say.
Mr. Layden?
What's the ROI?
RI, is it plus one, more than one?
Through the chair, I heard Ms. Clark Murray's comment, but I'm good with this one as well. I had some questions I asked the auditors ahead of time, so I'll be a yes on this one.
Okay. All right. So we are good to go on this one. All right. Let's open up the ballot. Record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right. By your motion, 2025-0654 passes. All right. Going on to number 31, 2025-0655.
Move the bill.
We have a motion and a second on the bill. No speakers on the queue. All right, let's open up the ballot. Record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0655 passes. Number 32, 2025-0656.
Move the bill.
We have motion and a second on the bill. There are no speakers. We do have Mr. Salem. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to say this once. I think there are 5 of these. And let me begin by saying these are strategic special contingency dollars that Council Member Johnson has. And he's not breaking any rules or anything like that in appropriating what he's doing. When I opened up my notebook over the weekend and reviewed this and saw there were, I believe, 5 of these at $10,000, it turned my stomach, frankly, because I know the amount of work that goes into OGC and the auditors, and then the monitoring of this, as was indicated earlier, is substantial. And I just have a real problem with this. I suggested that an amendment be put in or something on the addendum to move these dollars so he doesn't lose them. You could see on all 6 of these there was quite a bit of dissension in the various committees. This is my 3rd time seeing it, and I was a no on each one of them. As I indicated, I will be introducing legislation here in the near future to limit these to $25,000, a minimum of $25,000, so we don't get ourselves in this situation, and we may look at direct contracts as a part of that process as well. A couple of council members have indicated, please have a notice meeting so we can all participate, and I committed to doing that as well. So I will be voting no on all of these, but we will just speak on this one. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Leanan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And to Councilmember Salem, I fully support that legislation, and I think $25,000 is probably the right number, and that's just because that's as low as Public Service Grant Council goes. So maybe that's just kind of a good mark to be consistent with that as well. Because I have concerns over the increased workload, right? And also we approved the 2% lapse, which that may also increase workload of OGC and others, which I fully support as well and thought was a great idea. But that being said, what you said at the beginning, there's nothing against the rules as they stand now, so just being forward-looking, let's make it to where we're not dealing with $5,000 and $10,000 grants as a full council going forward. So look forward to seeing and supporting that future legislation.
Thank you. Mr. Howland.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with everything Mr. Salem and Mr. Leanan both said, and I also agree with what Mr. Leanan said. Let's not punish for the current sins, but protect against the future ones. I'm spitballing here, but I'm guessing that there's at least 20 staff hours for every single piece of legislation, contract, and bill, and I would say that's probably low. That's between legislative services, auditors, OGC, and now KHA administration, and I'd guess that, you know, fully burdened, it's probably $100 or more per hour. That's $2,000 that goes into staff work for this $10,000 grant. You know, how much really are we contributing using the resources we have? So I would fully agree moving forward, we have a minimum of $25,000. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Ms. Pittman.
No, I'm not going to agree with all of that, right? So I through my lens, I see it a little bit different, right? So this is an opportunity for the funds to not be lost, but also be able to have impact into organizations that may not have received these type of fundings before. And I think this year is probably a special year of everything that we've done on this council. But I also don't think we should handcuff any one of our council members who would like to spend their money the way they want to with organizations that they've talked to, and those organizations have or will fill out the applications to get it done. So I'd like for you all to, just think a little bit different out of the box when we're doing things. I don't think this will be done yearly. Is that correct, Dr. Johnson? I think this is an unusual situation. And, y'all just don't, if you're not in nonprofit, sometimes you can't really see how much small dollars really make a difference and a return, as we say, on investment. I just like to also just remind you all, we got to help the least of us, or those small organizations. Just like we talk about small businesses, we're talking about these small organizations where they can get or take that $10,000 and leverage that. Even, with KHA, I love to see what we just did today, but of course there are other nonprofits that's under them that these $10,000 would make a difference. And I would tell you all, from me, when I started at the Clara White Mission, there was a grant that was $10,000 that made a difference between a $295,000 grant opposed to allowing me to grow to where we are today. So just think about that, how sometimes small dollars can leverage large dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Johnson, recognize. Yep, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'll keep it brief. And Mr. Chair, I appreciate you hearing this and allow me just to say a word or two. I want to say, as it relates to these specific things, once it came about, most of these have to do with kids. As you'll see, it's going to KHA. I purposefully, and I certainly understand Dr. Salem's concern, but not only did I go to the auditors, but I also went to KHA to check with them to make sure they could accept it, that there were no compliance issues, that they were supporting things that had been done. And most of the pre-work that are done for these, I don't just send them over. I get these things done myself before submitting them to auditing. My office, both Chase and I, work together to ensure that all of the details are done. So I wanted to mitigate work. I know $10,000 is not a lot. I certainly actually agree with Dr. Salem that we do need to have a standard amount. But what I felt is there were these big amounts. And if I could use just a tiny amount to augment the work that these organizations were doing, I can't fund them, but we can certainly help and give them a pat on the back with the city and amplify the work that they're doing. So that's what I hope this is for. Just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. That's actually what I did earlier. I was going through all of them, and they're all, if I'm not mistaken, KHA appropriations. True? All right, cool. All right, we are on number 32, so this will be a ballot vote. So let's open up the ballot and record your vote.
Five yeas, one nay.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0656 passes. Moving on to 33, 2025-0657. We have a motion and a second on the bill. Same concept, different entity. All right, no speakers on the queue. Open up the ballot, record your vote.
Five yeas, one nay.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0657 passes. Number 34, 2025-0659. We have an amendment. We have a motion and a second on the, we have an amendment and a second. Mr. Peterson, go ahead. Sorry.
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment will correct the appropriation amount to $1,064,599.72 and then also include the appropriate account information as it relates to those dollars. I will clarify that $766,288.35 is being appropriated to the Madison Palms Development Loan. You might recall that was a funded affordable housing project in years past. And then also $298,311.37 is being appropriated to address the negative budgetary balance within the Social Service Division welfare shelter account, including authorization to enter into any amendments as necessary with Madison Palms, correcting an ordinance reference, and then also attaching a revised Exhibit 1 to reflect the reduction in previous general fund appropriation to the Madison Palms development.
Okay. All right. No speakers on the queue. On our agenda meeting, Mr. Peterson, you said this is a good thing. So is it a good thing? All right.
Through the chair of the committee, yes, sir. So these dollars, the city appropriated $3 million from the general fund as a loan to Madison Palms. This will supplant a portion of that, so $766,000 will go back into reserves as a result of this bill.
Very good thing. All right. So we have a amendment on the floor. So all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Amendment passes. We have a motion on second on the bill's amendment. Open up the ballot and record your vote, please.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
All right. By your motion, 2025-0659 passes. All right. Going to number 35, 2025-0660. Motion on second on the bill. Nobody in the queue. Open up the ballot. Record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0660 passes. Number 36, 2025-0661. Motion and second on the bill. Nobody on the queue. Open up the ballot. Record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion,
sorry.
By your motion, 2025-0661 passes. Mr. Howland, you recognize.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. While we got Mr. Joseph here, this just triggered a memory and a conversation I had recently with school board member April Carney. She is looking at different plans for Mayport Elementary and Anchor Elementary and how it works. And one of the ideas could be, as they integrate that we potentially grant some extra land from Huguenot Park to one. And that came up in a discussion, a couple years ago. And it looks like we're doing that here for, who are we doing it to? Between FDOT. But that's something that we ought to consider is if we can help out our partners with excess land that's not being used, that's part of ours. We certainly can consider doing so. And let's just keep that on the radar for the future. Thanks.
Hi, Mr. Joseph, you're recognized.
Darrell Joseph, Parks Department. For clarity, it's the other way around. FDOT is giving us land. Yeah.
And anything in the future helps. It's like a balance in net zero.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we are now going to open up the ballot. Oh, we already did. So we're moving on to, we already voted on this one. So by your motion, 2025-0661 passes. All right, number 37, number 2025-0663. We have a motion and a second on the bill. I don't see any speakers on the queue. And we are going to open up the ballot and record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0663 passes. All right. Number 38, 2025-0664. Motion and second on the bill. Same thing, different entity. Nobody in the queue. Open up the ballot, record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0664 passes. Number 39, we already took up. Number 40 is the second reading. 2025-0681 is the second reading. Number 41, 2025-0682, we have an emergency. A motion and second on the emergency. All right. And then all in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes. We have motion and second on the bill as an emergency. Mr. Peterson, we don't have to talk about the emergency or anything at all? Nobody? All right. So open the ballot, record your vote.
Five yeas, 1 nay.
By your motion, 2025-0682 passes. I'm just curious as to why was number 38 not an emergency and 41 was an emergency, if they're the same? Oh, when it was filed. That's why. Okay. Thank you. All right. Number 42. We have number 2025-0683, an emergency. We have motion and second on the emergency. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes.
Second.
Motion second on the bill as an emergency. Open up the ballot and record your vote.
Five yeas, 1 nay.
By your motion, emergency 2025-0683 passes. Number 43 is a second reading. 2025-0685 is a second reading. So number 44, 2025-0686, we have a motion and a second on the emergency. All right. All in favor indicate by saying. We have Ms. Pittman as an extension. Go ahead, ma'am. Sorry about that.
Mr. Chair, I know you're trying to hurry up and get us out of here, but please. I will be abstaining from this piece of legislation as well because of the services that the Clara White Mission provides. And so out of caution, I will be abstaining and not voting on this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we do have a motion and a second on emergency. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes.
Move the bill as an emergency.
With motion and second on the bill as an emergency, open the ballot, record your vote.
Four yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention.
By your motion, 2025-0686 passes. Number 45, 2025-0687, emergency.
Second.
Motion and second on the emergency. And we do have an amendment. So we need all in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes. We have an amendment. We have a motion and second. Do we have a second on the amendment?
Second.
We have a motion and second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson, go ahead.
Through the chair to the committee, the amendment just will attach a revised term sheet to reflect the waiver of Section 118-301A34 to allow for dollars to be spent on the cost of amusement, social activities, incidental costs relating to student incentives, field trips, parent engagement events, food and beverages, and participant T-shirts. And this just clarifying for administration of the grant.
Okay. Ms. Clark-Murray, you're recognized. Is it on the amendment or the bill?
Either one, if there are any questions.
All right. I don't see anybody in the queue, but you want to chime in on anything else or no? You good? All right, cool. All right, so all in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Amendment passes.
Read the bill as an emergency. Second.
A motion on the bill as an emergency as amended. Let's open up the ballot, record the vote. You're welcome. Thank you.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0687 passes. Number 46, 2025-0689. Motion and second on the emergency. All in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes.
Second.
Motion and second the bill as an emergency. I do want to just have clarification on this. Ms. Taylor, can you just talk to me about this, because this is a little bit different than the other ones that he's had, or Mr. Peterson?
Yes, sir. Through the chair of the committee. So the reason for this emergency is that the current contract with Goodwill ends September 30th, 2025. These dollars were appropriated back in 2024 for the build-out, or actually for programming of their build-out at their Westside campus. It took longer than anticipated to get the permits and complete the build-out, and so they were unable to expend all the dollars for the programming. So they've requested these dollars be carried over into the next year to be able to draw down. No new dollars being appropriated.
Perfect. All right, well, thank you for that. So I think we already indicated we're all in favor of this, so we're going to open up the ballot, record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0689 passes. Going on to number 47, 2025-0690.
Move the emergency.
Motion and a second on the emergency. All in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Emergency passes.
Move the bill as an emergency.
Motion and second to move the bill as an emergency. No speakers in the queue. Okay, so Mr. Peluso, you're on the queue. You're recognized. Well, you're recognized. Speak on it.
I recognize it.
Thanks, Chair. What, is there anything you want me to say in particular?
Talk about your
Please
bill.
vote yes.
All right, there you go, district. What's your district number? 7? That's your council member, guys. There you go. All right, let's.
When you're doing the Iron Man, you'll be in District 7.
All right, and Callahan too. All right, let's open up the ballot. Record your vote. The bike ride does.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0690 passes. Number 48.
Move the emergency.
2025-0691.
Emergency
Right.
5.
We have motion and a second to move the emergency. All in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. All right. Mr. Salem, you're recognized.
Move the bills in emergency.
We have a motion and second to move the bills in emergency.
Thank you, Chair. Comments similar, $5,000. And I wish the councilman would have put 75 into the previous bill, and everybody, I would have been very happy. It's such a, in my opinion, a waste of resources and monitoring and putting forward legislation, and which makes me feel so strongly about putting a limit on these things in the future. I voted against it and will continue to vote against it.
All right, thank you. No other speakers on the queue, so actually I do have Mr. Palouse on the queue. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair to the body. I mean, by the way, I kind of agree with the what was brought up earlier. If we want to change rules later on for it to be a $25,000 minimum, I think I would tend to agree with that. I'd love to be at those notice meetings, but because we aren't at that stage now, given how much I had available left before the end of the month, wanted to make sure that we gave some of these dollars to Florida Main Street. They're doing a great job out east. They're doing a lot of events between now and pretty much the end of the year that they're going to need a couple extra bucks for. They're a stable, they've got long-term funding for the next 3 years because of a lot of corporate partnerships. They needed to get that in order to become a Florida Main Street. But at the time, I didn't want to give them too much because they're still relatively new to the game, and I thought I would get pushed back because of that. So want to make sure we gave them enough, especially as we have the Jaguar season coming up. One of the other reasons why I'm asking that we vote yes now on this. Games are happening right now. People are in the avenue right now. Want to make sure there's additional security and security measures, which some of these dollars will help to pay for. The good thing is, Nigel, whose full-time staff has already worked with grants in the past and knows the grant process for the city of Jacksonville. Spoke with Maribel already about it. Maribel does tend to agree with Councilmember Salem that, yep, we don't want a ton of extra grants, but at the very least she acknowledges, yes, Nigel at least knows the process. There are other new nonprofits that show up that don't know the process nearly as well, and it can kind of hamper things. We have somebody who does and is ready to kind of submit her paperwork already. I concur when we have future bills like this moving forward. I think there should be a minimum, $25K, something along those lines. But I ask that we vote this up now, especially because the season's already started, and I want to make sure we have some things ready out there as the year goes on. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Outland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Then for Mr. Peluso, it's unfortunate that the juxtaposition between 47 and 48, 70 to Riverside, Avondale, and 5 to out east. What was there a specific request for 70 from RAP and for 5 from Florida Avenue Main Street that drove those numbers?
Through the chair to Councilman Hallen. Well, there was 76,000 give or take left for my strategic plan. The strategic plan dollars that I had were supposed to go to neighborhood organizations, commercial corridors, and so given that Riverside Avondale has multiple commercial corridors and is a much larger space, I knew that they had the capacity to take on the 70 and use the dollars and account for it pretty well. They've worked really well with our grants. Didn't want to over-encumber FAMs, so went with 5. Made sure that they had some stuff to be able to do some easy stuff now, show their capacity, then we can give them more later on.
All right, thank you. And then for the auditors, I'm trying to understand what the 5 goes for. It looks like cost of amusement, social activities, and incidental costs. It appears that this 5 won't count toward the community benefit agreement in Out East, correct?
Through the chair to Councilmember Allen, I had not contemplated that 5,000. Ms. Stefopoulos is telling me in my ear that it will not count.
It will not. Okay, thank you for that confirmation. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right. So we have a motion on the floor for this, so we're going to open up the ballot, record your vote now.
Five yeas, 1 nay.
Wouldn't go very far.
That's fine. Right. By your motion, 2025-0691 passes. Number 49, 2025-0711 is the second reading. Number 50, 2025-0713. Motion and second on the emergency. All in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes. Motion to move the bills in emergency. No speakers on the queue. Open up the ballot. Record your vote.
Five yeas, 1 nay.
By your motion, 2025-0713 passes. Going on to number 51, 2025-0714. Motion and second on emergency. All in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes. Moving the bills in emergency. No speakers in the queue. Open up the ballot. Record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0714 passes. Going on to number 52, 2025-0715. Motion and second on the emergency. All in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes. Motion to move the bills in emergency. I do have Mr. Lanin on the queue. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. To the committees, may have noticed I'm a co-sponsor on this as well. Within this is also funding for the Veterans Entrepreneurship Grant Program that we launched. It did take a while to get up and running, but that was part of the Transition Committee funding as well. So Gregory Grant and his team launched that last week. We've already gotten applications for it. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware that is part of this funding as well. And I hope you support it.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Peterson, you're recognized.
Through the chair, just to make sure that, because what Councilmember Lanin just said was not on my radar, the bill specifically speaks to a $650,000 for a small business capital access program. So if the intent is to have the veterans dollars, I think we need to amend the bill to address that as well.
All right. Mr. Randolph, you're recognized.
Yes, sorry, Ed Randolph, OED, through the chair to the body. Actually, Councilman Lanin's partially correct in that the original almost $1 million that we got through the task force funding exercise got put out on the street. We entered into an RFP with a party. We've now agreed about 6 months ago to break that relationship up and move on and put this additional $650 back out via RFP, but it's taken us a while to actually unencumber those funds, 50,000 of which went to the veterans group. The other 650 will go towards this new RFP for small business loans. So it is part and parcel with the original task force $1 million, as Councilman Lanin alluded to, but as part of this specific exercise, this 650,000 will go towards a new RFP to solicit bids for a new party to manage the small business loan fund.
Oh, okay, Mr. Lanin.
Thank you, Chair. So I may have misunderstood my conversations with both of you last week. I guess my question then is the $50,000 for the Veterans Entrepreneurship Grant Program, is that still protected since it's already been encumbered? Okay, thank you. I guess I'll stay as a co-sponsor though, still, since I went through that work.
I have Mr. Howland, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. While we have, through the chair to Mr. Randolph, while we have you up here, Ed, if you wouldn't mind explaining that. You say Mayor's Task Force Small Business Capital Access. Was this one of the programs we supported in the transition activities?
Through the chair to Councilman Allen, that's correct, yes.
Okay, and at what level did we support it originally, and what level is that now? Sorry, I think you went through that, but just for clarity.
Sure, it was about $900,000 to go towards small business micro grants and loans. Of which the party that it was only one person that submitted a response to the RFP to manage all of those programs. We did go ahead and we were in a relationship with that entity for about 6 to 8 months. We decided to go ahead and mutually break the contract, of which has taken about 5 or 6 months now for them to go ahead and solidify the payments to those parties for the micro grants, getting back to the grant discussion here. So now unfortunately, we're too close to the September 30th deadline to put it back out for an RFP. We've had the RFP drafted for about 2 months, but we couldn't unencumber those funds, the $650,000, $700 total when you include the $50,000 that Councilman Lanin wanted for veterans grants. So we're now in a posture where that $650,000 is going to go back out for RFP for a new party to deal with the small business loan program.
Okay, thank you. Through the chair, can I ask another question? Thank you, Mr. Randolph. So that means we're from 900 down to 650 plus 50, so 900 down to 700. That 200 delta, was that used to pay that party that managed the program?
Through the chair to Councilman, correct. It's about $177,000 is what we settled. So they went ahead and dispersed those micro grants to those small businesses and included administration fees. So that tallied 177 as to where we're at now, about 650 to go back out.
So how much went to the small businesses versus how much to that company that you've discontinued the relationship with?
Gregory Grant, Office of Equal Business Opportunity. So on the micro grant side, approximately 150,000 went to the small business community for the grants, and 25,000 was paid for the service fees.
Okay. That was a better answer than I thought. I thought it might be flipped the other way around.
No, sir.
All right. Thank you. No further questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Salem, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair, what was the name of the company that you separated from?
LISC.
LISC.
Correct.
Was there an issue?
Well, we just decided mutually to not. They didn't want to manage the revolving grant loan fund, so we just kind of came to a meeting of the minds and decided to end the partnership and just move on. So.
Okay. Thank you. Interesting.
Thank you. Mr. Fopoulos or Mr. Peterson or Ms. Taylor, I've seen today numerous, and in the last couple of weeks, a lot of issues with LISC as a whole and people discontinuing working with them. Do we have any other contracts out there right now currently with LISC? And maybe this is an answer you can't give me right now, but just for the future, I just want to know where we're at with them in general moving forward.
Through the chair to council, or to the chair, I know that council approved $125,000 for LISC under one of Councilmember Gaffney's initiatives. That was within the last 3 months. Outside of that, I'm not aware, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have other contracts with LISC. But I'm not aware of what any of the issues might be on management.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm concerned right now just because there's been a lot of issues right now lately with LISC. So, all right, Ms. Pittman, you're recognized.
You saying there's a lot of issues with LISC? Can you tell me what you've experienced some?
I have not, but we've already seen multiple people come up and cancel the contracts with LISC for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is, but there's a reason why they're being canceled. Even today alone, there was already been 2 issues that that have came up with LISC. So I'm just curious as to what's going on behind this, and so that's why I asked that question.
Okay. Well, I will say, since being here on again, there's nobody here. I don't think there's anybody here from LISC, and I don't want us to make any assumptions, but LISC has done great work in this community, and not sure if their focus have changed or anything like that, but they have been able to manage grants that I know that the city have had in different departments, like, neighborhoods and that I've seen over the years. So I don't know if it's LISC or the other organizations, and I don't want us to assume that there's issues when there may not be. Okay? That I just wanted to comment because I've seen the great work that they've done on the east side in my district as well, and I just want us to not assume that there's anything without having conversation with the staff. That's all. Thank you.
And that's exactly what I was asking the questions. Yeah. So, Mr. Johnson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since I am the bill sponsor, I will say, and thank you to Mr. Randolph and Mr. Grant for the great work through the chair that they've done. I kind of was talking to them about something else, and this came up, and I was like, why aren't we doing something with this? I want to say I also reached out to LISC myself, because before I sponsored the legislation, I wanted to do my homework. It wasn't that they are not good, because they're incredibly good at what they do for this community, but it was the heft of that amount and having the infrastructure to monitor the loan portion of it, because you'd be loaning it and doing the servicing of the loans, and that was a big portion. If it were a grant, I think we'd be having a different conversation. But because there were loan components to these funds specifically that would continue to regenerate within the small business community, that I think is where the issue was, but not with LISC itself. Thank you. Am I correct? Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you for clarifying that. All right, so we have the emergency on the floor, and I think Mr. Holland, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I just have one last question for Mr. Grant or Mr. Randolph. When you do get yeah, you can come on, Mr. Grant. Thank you. When you went out for an RFP for a new company to do it, obviously this program's been in place for over a year, and all the transition activities have, and we haven't made that many small business grants. We might find that it's a model that doesn't work, but I would appreciate if you wouldn't mind calling me, sir, when you do award it to someone, so I can just kind of figure out what that price is, what they're going to do, how they're going to do it better than LISC did before. Just because I am interested, I'd like to see small business get access to capital and make sure the program works fluidly as designed, or as the design is enhanced. So if you wouldn't mind, just keep me apprised. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fabulous, have we moved the bill? We have moved the bill, so we're ready to open up the ballot and record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0715 passes. Going on to number 53, 2025-0716. Motion and second on the emergency. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Emergency passes. We have a motion and a second to move the bill as an emergency. All right. Mr. Salem, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. This is the second time I've seen this one. This is to fund the Northeast Florida Planning Council from the debt dollars that we use to fund group health. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. Group health, and the goal from that was for the rest of it to fall into the reserves. I believe that this committee has spoken on the Northeast Regional Council, and I would welcome an amendment during Tuesday night if someone wants to fund the Northeast Regional Council. I have some non-starters for where they may take that money from, but would welcome someone putting forward an amendment to fund them. This money should be falling into the reserves, in my opinion. And we've got to, in my opinion, hopefully we will slow or stop the process of catching money like this and reappropriating it. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. I have nobody else on the queue right now. I do have Ms. Pittman on the queue now. You're recognized, ma'am.
The chair, I know we had a long conversation regarding our membership, and before we vote on this, I would really like for Dr. Johnson to really talk about this, if you can speak about it, because I think at the end of the day, when we finished up our meeting, Councilman White and I were looking for funding for this. I do think, based on what we heard from Baker County, McClenny, I'm trying to remember the, what's his name? Baldwin, I'm sorry, Baldwin, of how much the regional council means to them, and some of the other first responders and other work that they do. I know for the homeless, when I chaired that with Councilman Bolin, I just want to make sure that this gets put back in the budget because it's important to me as well. But Dr. Johnson, if you can talk about this and how we can get this back in the budget or get funded.
Through the chair. Thank you, Ms. Pittman, for the question. So the reason that I sat through a good portion of some of the finance hearings and also watched as well, while I do know this was the direction of the finance committee to put all of those funds in, to go into the reserves, I thought that this would be a requisite use for them that didn't dip into the reserves, one, and it wasn't funding that had been allocated. It was a savings for something else. And I don't want to just grab it. I remember my colleague, the vice president, saying, you give government $1, they'll spend $1. And I certainly, I remember it. I was ringing in my head every time. I think about it all the time when you say that. But I didn't want to just spend it willy-nilly. But like you, Councilwoman Pittman, I have seen the great work of the regional council. When I co-chaired one of the committees, or chaired, I'm sorry, one of the committees for the jail study, when I did another one for housing, which Project Blueprint, they came in and helped compile the data. And as someone who understands what data is needed, they have been invaluable as a resource. And so I've not only heard from the Baldwin team, but other people throughout this community. I think the regional council is necessary. These weren't funds that we were looking for. We realized them in savings, and I believe that this is the right way that they should be spent. I know that there were other proposals, and I'm certainly looking, if this doesn't pass, I'm looking for opportunities. The auditing team can tell you, I've been to the second floor, I think, more this year than I've ever been in my life, because since I've been on this council, because I'm trying to find something for this, because I guarantee you this year, with all of the cuts that we're going to have to make, I want that data so we can make sure that we are putting the funds in the right places. So I hope you'll support me on this. If not, help me find a way to fund this organization, because they help fuel our community. Thank you.
And I tell you, I appreciate you. I know, Councilman White, thank you for joining us. We were trying to look for funding, but you gave us an opportunity, so hopefully this will be it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I see Ms. Clark Murray. However, I know this is Mr. White, so you are recognized.
Thank you, through the chair. I just wanted to give my support to this, and everybody knows why I'm supportive, because of Baldwin deal and the JFRD, what they do, and I would certainly appreciate y'all looking hard at this and getting to a good place for everybody if we could. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, nobody else on the queue. I'm just going to say my words, and I'm going to stick to my my actions on Finance Committee. I am not going to support this. I definitely indicated during the process of the Finance Committee meetings where the last time this was used was realistically for the study on critical quality of life by Mr. Boylan. That was multiple years ago. This year, there hasn't been any action on that. And honestly, the way I will see it is, I would definitely support this if it was a case-by-case basis. Whenever it's used, we pay. If we don't use it, we don't pay. I don't want to commit $390,000 to something that we're not using as 19 council members. So with that being said, I'm not going to support this. All right, no other speakers on the queue. Let's open up the ballot and record your vote.
One yay, 5 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0716 fails. All right, moving on to number 54, 2025-0717. We have a motion and a second on the emergency. No speakers on the queue. Mr. Salem, you're on the emergency or on? Okay, sorry. All right, so all in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes. We have a motion and a second to move the bills in emergency. Mr. Salem, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Again, I've seen this bill before. I don't know why the committees, at least on mine, are not listed. When I was president 2 or 3 years ago, there was $500,000 put into a fund through the mayor's strategic plan for this purpose. Those dollars have now been either used or encumbered. And if the administration feels like this is a program that should be continued, they should fund it. These dollars will fall into the reserves if they're not used here, which was the intent all along from those dollars that we use for the health care fund, correct?
Through the chair to Councilor Salem, I think you're talking about Bill 720, item 56.
I apologize. Okay.
Two films.
Well, then, I apologize, Chair. Can you explain what this bill does then? Because I'm confused.
Absolutely. Through the chair to the committee, this bill is similar to the funding that you discussed regarding the small business loan funds. The Mayor's Task Force initiatives put a little over $500,000 into the film and television grant incentive pot. They have spent about $170,000. There's $330,000 left in that fund. that is allocated towards projects, but projects that will not be completed prior to the ending of this year. Excuse me. That legislation said that funding would carry over to September 30th of 2025. So in order for these dollars to be available for those projects that are currently ongoing, the dollars need to be carried over, and that's what this bill is asking to have those dollars do.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Chair. I will be very supportive of this. It's a carryover existing funds, and I apologize for creating confusion.
It's all right. All right, no worries. So I do have speakers on the queue. It is a carryover bill. Mr. Howland, you're recognized. Unless, yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To Mr. Peterson, you said these dollars, $330K, are already allocated to ongoing projects. So the city has incurred a liability with outside organizations for this, or are they just specified in the different sub-activities?
Through the chair to Councilmember Howland. So from the information I've been provided by OED, they are aware of productions that are ongoing. However, the productions submit for reimbursement for incentives after the production is completed. And I'm not aware of the city entering into any agreements that commits a liability or a commitment from the city. I believe it's all handled after the fact.
Okay, but to Mr. Randolph, these are allocations to ongoing projects that have an expectation of requesting reimbursement for funds expended.
Correct. Through the chair to Councilman Howland, just like the small business funding, we just got too close to the finish line here. But there are projects on the hook here that are filming predicated on getting these grant funds.
Okay, got it. Understood. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, you're good? Carry over?
Just quick, yeah, on the carryover. I just wanted to explain the way, obviously this is my industry and I work with them closely. But the thing is, Mr. Chair, the way this works is the productions have to be completed. So it's almost like a rev grant, right? Once they get the productions completed. So some of them make sure we are on the right path. Sometimes the productions may be finished, but post-production takes time. Once they finish the post-production, turn in all the information to film economic development, they then submit it for those funds. So while the production may be finished, it still takes time. And while we haven't had a contract, we are asking these productions to come film in Jacksonville based on a good faith agreement when they submit the application. Thank you.
All right, no speakers on the queue. Let's open up the ballot, record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0717 passes. Number 55, 2025-0718. We have a motion and a second to move the emergency. All in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes. Motion to move the bill as an emergency. We have a second. I don't see the council member point contact here, so I would consider deferring this potentially, if they're not here to speak on this. All right. I'm kidding, Kevin. Jeez, all right. All right, so let's open up the ballot, record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By your motion, 2025-0718 passes. Going on to number 56, 2025-0720. Motion is second on the emergency. All in favor of the emergency indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Emergency passes. Move the bill as an emergency, and we have a second, right? Yep. All right, cool. So, Mr. Salem, you're recognized.
I am now on the right bill.
You are.
This is $400,000 from the debt service savings from the money we put towards the healthcare fund. These dollars would fall into reserves if they're not used here. That was the intent of only using the $5 million originally to fund the healthcare, is to try to get as much into the reserves, as I've been arguing, as we've got big commitments coming up in the next year or two. $500,000 was set aside 2 or 3 years ago. We've just passed a bill where $300 is moving forward. If the administration feels strongly about this program, they should be funding it. They funded it for $500. They have not come forward with additional dollars. So I would urge you to vote against this, and if the administration feels it's a worthwhile project, they can fund it. They can go through some type of budget transfer if they feel strongly about it. There's a number of ways. I don't think it's incumbent upon us to fund this. These dollars should fall into the reserves as planned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Layton, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I had a lot of questions about this, especially being the OED liaison, enough to bother Mr. Randolph over the weekend. But when you look at this objectively, forget the funding source for now. First off, this follows the policy. In the past, I've spoken about how I do not like it when things come to us that require a waiver. This follows the public investment policy for this type of incentive. $400,000, I believe, is the max you can get, and this would be a production big enough to where it would meet that. It is a 7.0 ROI, and again, this is the ROI math that OED does on any other type of incentive. I think it's something like 2,400 hotel rooms, 100 6-month jobs for the community, a few other things. And then also, my understanding is the reason for the emergency, it's kind of completely separate from anything else on the agenda. It had nothing to do with timing, and I'll let Mr. Randolph clarify if we need to, but I don't think this was on the radar 2 or 3 weeks ago. So again, this emergency is not an emergency in the sense that most of the other bills that had Councilmember Johnson's name associated with it. I do think this objectively came to us outside of the budget cycle, and it was a 7.0 ROI project with a $3 million investment, 100 jobs, 2,400 hotel room nights, and a 7.0 ROI that followed the public investment policy to a T that required no waivers. We would approve it. If we're against this, then I think the next step is we need to look at that policy, right? If we're voting down something to our OED, they followed the policy and there was an eligible grant in that, and if we're saying no to it, I think that would be the logical next step to actually look at the policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pittman.
Since this is our last bill, and I want to just say this to you, Dr. Salem. It just appears that anything that you think that the mayor has her name associated to, you just want to just shut it down. But I think we talked about ROIs with this a few minutes ago. Let's do what's best for the city. Let's not point out who is going to impact or who put the budget in or legislation. Help me understand why. Maybe you can just give me a little bit more information, and I can feel a little bit better in terms of you clarifying it to me so I can understand. But with this funding, it's again leverage for other funding. Help me understand why you say this. Is it okay? I just appreciate it, Mr. Chair. Is that all right?
Yeah, it is all right. Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead, Mr.
I mean, we just passed one that Dr. Johnson did, and again, I think these are additional dollars that can help bring, film and industry here. But just help me understand, please. I know you always say, when things you don't like, you'll say, she need to fund it. But help me. I don't look at it like that. But help me understand, and then y'all won't be hearing from me at the end like this because I know we all ready to go. But help me, please, Doc.
Let me go back.
Mm-hmm.
When I was president, there was $26 million in special projects that this council approved. A part of that $26 million that many of you fought against me that I put across the finish line was $500,000 to this program to bring movies, productions to Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. And I supported that.
Okay.
And they have, over the last 3 years, apparently paid out roughly 150 or 160, and now we're moving 330 to next year because they have made commitments on that. Mm-hmm. My point is, if this program is that special and should continue, I think it's incumbent upon the administration to fund it. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Okay.
And if it's important to them, it should have been in this budget that we're debating. There's nothing in this budget that we're debating today for this program. Yeah. If the administration feels strongly about it, he reports to the administration. OEDs in the administration, they have transfer authority of $500,000. They could move money around to pay for this.
And I just want to say one thing, and I know in the last few years there have been strikes and all of that within the movie industry. And I only know that because my daughter is in the industry, right? And whatever we can do in this community to bring industry back here, I would love for her to come back, but because we don't have enough of the funding, and I'll look to you, Dr. Johnson, because you've been in the industry for a long, long time. But I'd like to see where Jacksonville become a mecca. But again, we have to have dollars in order to make money. We got to spend some money. But I just want to make sure, in my thinking, that it's not just about the mayor. And I just want to hear your reasoning behind it. Okay, thank you. And I know you're ready to go, but thank you for letting me ask those questions.
Mr. Chair, I'm still on the queue, though.
Yes, that was actually Ms. Pittman's time. Ms. Stefopoulos, when do we have to be out of here? Because I know we have LUZ prep coming up.
I would recommend the committee be wrapped up by 4:10, so at about 10, 15 minutes.
Perfect. We have 3 minutes to wrap up. Mr. Salem, you're recognized. All right.
Mr. Chair, I've known Todd out there for 20 or 25 years. I worked with him back in the old Sports and Entertainment Board. This has got nothing to do with the mayor. This is a priority of the administration. If they think this is important, this program should be funded by the administration. These dollars, I only use the $5 million so that the rest of these dollars will fall into the reserves. It's a tough call. I get that. It's a tough call. High ROI. I get all that. But I don't believe it should be these dollars funding it. Someone else should be funding this. That's all.
Okay. Before I go to the bill sponsor, Ms. Norris, and then Mr. Johnson to bring it home.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to offer up again, we do have a fixed revenue, and we encourage is a nice way. We told our departments to come back with flat budgets, right? And so those dollars that you initially saw came through the task force, correct? Am I messing this up? So they didn't add because we have a fixed amount of revenue, and there's a lot of things that are important to us and that we would like to fund. We had to make hard choices. So unfortunately, that's why you don't see that funded in this year's budget. If we had more money to play around with, as Councilman Howland likes to say, give us a dollar, we'll find a way to spend it. Unfortunately, we don't have the dollars. We did not spend it.
All right, Mr. Johnson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll wrap this up. I certainly understand the Finance Committee works so very hard, and I understand, Dr. Salem, but I know you say you've known Todd for 25. I've known him for 35 years, maybe longer. Dale Eldridge K., I was there when this office was created. I was a young man, but I was there when Tommy created this office with Dale Eldridge. And I've seen the work that this particular group has done. I've spent, as the only member that's a member of SAG-AFTRA and Equity, I've spent a lot of time in this industry. And one of the things we know is that the state of Florida could be making a lot of money, but they're not investing in it. This program, and I get what you're saying, but in the words of the immortal poet Nino Brown, scared money don't make none. And I'll tell you what that means. If you look, that's right. It's from the movie New Jack City. Go check it out. But if you look here, it says, if you look at the amendments, it says funds appropriated as incentives for Project T shall revert back to the general fund if not used. Now, what that means is while they could be sitting in or revert back to the reserves, or revert over to the reserves, if those funds aren't used, this is an opportunity for these production companies to see us saying, we believe in you, so we're going to put these funds to the side. If you do what you say you're going to do, this is what's going to happen. I don't need to go into the ROI. You heard Councilman Lanin say what the ROI is going to be for this project, but the money just sitting in the reserves just sits there. But if we appropriate it for this, not only does it do the main thing of bringing this kind of economic development to our community, but it also shows others that we are willing to put our effort where our mouth is. That's all I'm asking that we do. Instead of just sticking it in the corner saying, yep, we got 400,000. Put it in this pace so other movies and other productions can see it, make their way to Jacksonville, spend money, put our people to work, and continue to make our city rise. Please vote this up. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Joe Carlucci, you recognize.
All right, sorry, Mr. Chair. I know you wanted him to wrap it up, and I feel bad even asking this, but it just kind of dawned on me. Don't worry, Mr. Hill. All right, so through the chair to the auditors, how much money is in this account? This is $400,000 after the other one was like a couple $100,000. So how much money is in the CIP debt service repayment ISA debt management fund?
Through the chair to Councilmember Carlucci, there's about 1.1 currently. So this bill would take 400. The other bill was proposing to take 393. That leaves about 300,000 extra if both of these bills were to pass.
Okay, cool. So for me, I mean, I'll just keep it real simple and kind of what Ms. Norris said, right? We've got tough decisions to make, and if I had to have my decision, I wouldn't put the money here. I'd put it in road resurfacing. I'd put all that money in road resurfacing, or I'd put it in other infrastructure projects that actually people care about, that are driving around in our streets. Not to say people don't care about film and stuff. I'm not saying that, so don't misinterpret that. But I'm just saying I learned a lot through this budget, and that is I want to peel back the layers a little bit more and be more decisive on, okay, if we do have these little we found these money, so to speak, I know where I'm going to start putting them, and it's going to be in infrastructure. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Howland, you recognize?
Thank you. And I was going to ask the same question that Mr. Carlucci did in a slightly different way for Ms. Norris. Do you prefer this $400K come from CIP debt reservice payment to the Film and Television Office Trust, or do you prefer it go to Meals on Wheels?
You guys always like to go back to the Meals on Wheels. I think our preference is to support Councilmember Johnson. He has found this money and wants to support something in an industry that he has a lot of experience with and care for. Again, this is his bill. I hear many times so far that this is the administration's bill. It is not. It is Councilmember Johnson's bill, and I do believe there's a precedent. I say as someone who has to sit through many of these meetings where a council member locates funds and puts it toward a project, whether it's $45 million toward downtown or such. So if you're asking the administration, we would respect the will of the council member and what he wants to do with the funds.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Peterson, we have 1.1 in the fund. This will take 400 out of it, leaving whatever, 7 point whatever in there, 7.1. The previous action we took failed. However, it will still go to council for a full vote, or not, once it fails, it's done here?
Through the chair to the chair. So this committee would report it to council, but neighborhoods didn't get enough votes to make a report to council. So unless it's discharged by the president, those dollars will fall to reserves because it won't be taken up by the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. All right. So I think I like to compromise. I always say compromising is how we move the city forward. Out of 1.1, we literally left 70% into the reserves. I don't think this will be a bad compromise to at least invest these dollars into the film industry to support our colleague over here that's fighting for this. Otherwise, it would just fall all to reserves. So the way I see life is about compromise. I said this before for the Meals on Wheels and telehealth and everything else. So this is a fair compromise. So I will be supporting this one today. And with that being said, no other speakers on the queue. Open up your ballot, record your vote.
Four yeas, 2 nays.
All right, by your motion, 2025-0720 passes. And this concludes our Finance Committee agenda meeting. Thank you so much.